Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Weekly Tall Talk. I'm your host, Xavier. If you're new to the show, normally we start our episodes with a short story or would you rather. But before I get into tonight's topic, I would like to introduce my other co-hosts. Cale, Corey.
Oh, yeah, we're here.
That's us.
I looked the correct direction.
Yeah, you did. I didn't mix
We
match us again.
are us. Wow.
Very nice. Well, I'm doing well, dude. It's always a good time to come out here, record another episode, get back in the laboratory. That is Corey's car. So
That's
always
right,
a good time. I had a pretty good day. Worked as normal and then headed over here to this undisclosed location.
Yeah.
And ready to get into today's episode. Corey, how you doing?
You know, I'm doing okay today. I had a nice lazy day, just chilling in the front seat. I'm just listening to whatever came on the radio because I couldn't afford Spotify anymore.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it was pretty nice.
That
Gotta say.
premium will get you.
Yeah. That AM radio is pretty nice.
It is nice.
Wish I had some blankets.
Anyways, we'll get you some.
Yeah, no, today was pretty good. I don't really have anything to report. It was just nice and chill.
Right
Frank was with me the whole time. I might have taken a nap. I really don't remember.
You could have happened.
It could have been that good. You just don't remember.
Oh, yeah,
It was so good, I forgot about it. Like most things in life.
Oh, yeah.
Xavier, I didn't forget about you, though.
No.
How you doing? Our
I'm-
host with the most.
I'm doing good. Work was a normal day. Well, I did a lot of driving around today.
Oh,
Visiting
okay.
different
With your
locations.
RC cars or actually?
No.
It's with the rock collar.
I wish. No, I was just driving to different locations and branch locations and doing some work for those. So a lot of driving today, but everything was good.
Do you get reimbursed for mileage?
I do.
Damn,
Yeah.
Andy
Oh.
drives a cool car, so it's all
Damn.
worth
So
it.
it's like all of that. It's just like,
Yeah.
It's just
why is this $500 worth of gas reimbursement? Have you ever seen my car?
I've gotten pretty high. I just watched my little
Gotten
gas
pretty
tank.
high?
Hey,
Hey,
I mean,
hold
like
on.
high as a
Oh,
Not
right
high.
before you drive.
Yeah. I gotta take the edge off before I get behind the wheel, guys.
It's scary out there.
It is.
There's a lot of traffic.
Lot
How
of
am I supposed to
cars.
bob and weave?
A lot of lights, a lot of noises.
A lot
I
of people
know.
yelling at me for doing, I don't know, anything.
But well, I'd like to. Are you guys ready to get started today's episode? We're
Let's
doing
do
a
it.
Would You Rather.
Whoa,
Oh, yeah.
What's the topic for today?
So the topic of today is about firearms.
Oh,
yes.
I knew this day was
Beloved.
coming.
Beloved firearms.
Oh, yeah. This is an Xavier sponsored episode from his brain.
I heard from
Yeah.
a very reliable source that the gun is good.
The gun is good. Yeah.
Gun rhymes with fun for
Yeah.
a reason, stranger.
Perfect. Okay. So here's the question. You guys ready for the questions?
Let's do
Yeah.
it, dude.
Okay. Would you rather have the whole world completely de-armed,
No arms for anyone.
no arms? Like you don't have any arms.
We're just a leggy society.
I was thinking that too.
There's no arms, nothing gets
Yeah.
done.
Son of a bitch.
Just everybody's got legs. That's it. Or
Damn. It does say or twice.
it does. I didn't even mean to read that twice. I just read.
Great.
I said or have every person on the planet armed.
Damn.
Wow. Everybody's just always carrying.
It's a lot of smoke.
Arms.
Yeah.
Damn.
They have arms and they're carrying arms.
You know, I always wish I had 4 arms, kind of like Goro.
Goro.
Oh, dude.
It's a superpower.
Just think. 4 arms,
Think of the things
You
I
get a
could
lot
do
of stuff
with it.
doing.
right?
Yeah.
You'd co-op with yourself.
Oh, dang. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's not where my mind
That's
went.
like the
but
worst.
yeah.
That's like the worst thing.
I would
Just sitting
definitely
there-
be using it for that, though, thinking about it, because I don't have a brother or a sibling or anything.
You just have a second.
You got two right here, man.
Yeah.
You don't live with me, though.
Oh,
Yet.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yet.
We can't all always fit here.
Not in this car.
In my
In the car.
corridor.
this is like a Pimp My Ride where they have the little 10-inch.
Yo, I heard you like Friends, so we
Yeah.
got you some extra friends and we put them in the trunk.
Yeah. You can play this
Oh, like
PlayStation
theater
2 at the
system in there.
party. What?
Oh, man.
So
Yeah.
arm everyone or arm nobody?
Right. Those are our options. Sorry, I was doing a mystical dance.
I saw we got to witness
We're a
it.
little
You out there
mesmerized,
missed out. Wow. It was quite the spectacle. I'm going to come at this with a different point of view.
Okay.
I'm going to go nobody armed.
Oh, nobody armed. So
Okay.
armless.
I'm going to go nobody armed because then there's no level playing field. There's no great equalizer. The big and the strong devour everyone.
Oh, okay.
Are we only talking about firearms, or are we talking about slingshots, bows and arrows,
Firearms.
scorpions?
You can still have all that stuff. Spears, javelins.
Okay.
So,
So any
but I-
manual tool.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say firearms. So anything that is
No
like a
guns.
Okay.
gunpowder,
Blunderbuss.
cannons,
Flintlock.
flintlock.
Breech loading.
Oh, dude,
All those.
muskets.
Yeah. Bolt face.
Perfect.
Open carry.
Just say
9/11
trigger words.
DEA ATF.
Trigger everyone. Rigorous. No, but
So-
that's my choices. I would wonder
De-armed?
how the de-armed.
De-armed. Okay.
Wonder how society would function knowing that. Well, I wonder how it would pivot for people who carry concealed carry for their own protection, or just feel like home defense in that aspect of having that kind of security blanket when it's ripped away from you.
Oh,
I'm coming in. No. I don't know. It's kind of like it's taken away the level playing field. I wonder how interactions would happen, or would this arise in like kind of these like meathead culture?
Interesting.
Do meatheads like firearms?
No, I'm saying like the bigger and stronger guys, you know how those are always the ones that like push people's buttons or try to take advantage of people. If you don't have a gun to stop that, a lot of the time is what I'm saying. Like people will be more abrasive.
I think small people who have guns also kill people, though.
No, I'm saying that, but if I'm coming to attack you, you would have a gun. That's a level playing field, right?
Yeah, equalizes it.
That equalizes the threat of a bigger or stronger person.
Right.
Interesting. Okay.
When you don't have that, how do you adjust for that? A knife, probably.
You run, you grab a stick or a rock and bash him over the head with it. A good shove into a wall has paralyzed and crippled many.
Shove into
into a wall.
fight or flight.
Yeah.
Type
Also,
thing.
you're high off the ground. My center of gravity, if I go for those ankles, buddy, you're going down.
No, but that's when I give you right a Brazilian jiu-jitsu knee to the face. Knocked out immediately.
Not if I use my luchador moves and wrap around you, and then we jump, and then I go off the turnbow, and then everybody claps.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, a new world.
And that's how I maintain equilibrium with you in a fight.
Oh,
I like that. He's thought of everything. He's put too much thought into this, actually. He's waiting for this to happen.
Brother, it's been almost 30 years. I got to figure out how to take you down some way
It's
or another in any circumstance.
We got to do WrestleMania 99 or whatever.
What's that motto from the Marines is have a plan to kill everyone you meet?
Is that a motto for the Marines?
Yeah,
I think so. What is another one? It's like Marines don't die. They just regroup in hell. That's a badass line. No, but that's my choice. Like de-arming everybody. I would love. Well, I don't know if I would love it because I don't have my guns now. I would like to see what happens.
If
nobody has guns,
That would be
like what interactions happen, like what threat level is assessed by.
That would be an interesting time.
I think it would be like a threat level midnight.
Ooh,
Threat level midnight.
That's the best movie.
Corey, what are you picking under? Would you rather here?
I mean, honestly, I got to go with Cale on this one.
Okay.
I would rather have no guns than have everybody have guns.
Okay.
Because if we're talking like it's either one extreme or the other,
Right.
I would rather not everybody have a firearm because there's some dangerous, violent people out there.
True.
And I don't want them armed.
Yeah.
That's true.
I don't,
Yeah, people that get pushed over the edge.
Yeah. I don't want everybody to have access to a firearm at all times. I'll say that I'm pro regulation on this show.
Oh,
right on.
Yeah, Xavier's fuming right
He's
now.
very angry.
His cheeks are turning a little pink.
Yeah, just wait till I get the mic.
Yeah, we're gonna have the last 10 minutes of this segment devoted to
Just him
Xavier.
yelling at you while you're wrong.
No,
I would love it.
we gotta fill the time. What do you mean? No.
What do you mean? No,
Come on. Yeah, go. No,
Okay. Yeah. What were you going to say though?
I would
So
rather.
de-armed?
Yeah, I would rather have nobody have access to firearms.
I mean, that would be an interesting
But that's
scenario.
Yeah,
right?
not that we see it every day in our lives or have a regular occurrence of it, but it's the time period we've grown up in. There's always been guns, the police, the military, gangs, like just recreationally. There's always been guns. There's never been a point in our history of like us being alive where guns are not a thing.
Yeah, that's true.
It's hard to kind of contemplate.
Yeah,
what it would be like if no one had any.
Those goddamn Chinese did this to us.
Those freaking William.
They invented the gunpowder and it never stopped.
It just never.
We just wanted fireworks, but now we're blowing each other's heads off.
It was just an upward motion after that.
Of violence.
China.
But yeah.
China.
Maybe it would go back to like swords and shields.
That would be sick.
You kill a lot less people in a manic rage with a sword.
With a sword, I would imagine. Just somebody run over you.
It's a lot easier to run away from a sword than it is a bullet.
Yes.
One will catch you.
Bullets are fast.
Unless they throw the sword.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, but I mean, we've done axe throwing. It might hit you with a hilt or something. Or,
just hit you with the handle.
Or just like the heavy sword they throw, it just falls.
They just drastically drastically underestimate the weight of it. Throw that shit.
Fully overhanded.
Dude, but if it hit, that would be pretty fucking sick.
That would be pretty badass.
That would be style points on top of your kill
100%.
point.
Yeah. You murdered that guy, but it looked great.
You threw a literal two-hander.
Yeah.
Just a giant claymore.
Yeah.
It is in the name.
It is in the name.
Yeah, that's sick.
All right.
So what about? Yeah.
Oh, well,
what's wrong with us?
Everybody's got to have guns, huh? Well, I'll be the opposite. I want everybody to have guns on the planet.
Okay.
Because I want my guns.
That's fair. That was my one con to mine.
Yeah.
I would like to have mine. I would like to have guns. And there's definitely like you were saying, there's people. This is like to the extreme where everybody has firearms. Everybody. Like I'm curious just to get down more into this to see what like scenarios we could come up with.
Exactly.
Because that is like there's a time and place for that, but like for everybody to have a gun, like would kids have guns? They're just running around.
Yeah, 100%.
Or
kids are the most vulnerable.
We're persons. Animals can't have guns, so
we could mount them.
Yeah, we can find a way to give animals guns. They need to be armed too.
Just tie some MP40s to tusks of some elephants. Just rage.
A war elephant.
War against the poachers.
Oh,
kill the poachers.
Oh, but you see, I forgot about the documentaries.
Huh.
The ones where the chimps got access to firearms and stuff, and then they took over the world. And
oh, right, yeah.
That was before we rose from the ashes.
That's right.
There's been like 10 of those movies.
Yeah.
That's a full-blown history of this earth.
Yeah, that's a whole Encyclopedia Britannica on the history of
that
monkey
we were
warfare.
doomed from the start when you saw James Franco.
Doomed.
That was a doomsayer moment.
Yeah, that's fair.
He means nothing but ruin.
Yeah. So you're gonna arm the whole world?
I'm gonna arm the entire planet.
Just the sheer volume of guns.
That'd be massive.
That would be 8 billion guns.
That'd be massive.
In fact, that's probably at least somewhat close to the amount of guns we have currently.
Yeah,
I think the last statistic I read is there's 12 guns for every one person
in the world.
In the United States.
Oh,
Australia doesn't have.
We're number one.
Yeah. No, yeah. There's more guns in the state than there are people.
It's literally just Xavier.
Yeah. That's why I think worldwide, there's probably more guns than there are currently people alive.
It's literally just you and I, more than the whole friend group.
Because we're caught
just between you and I, more guns than friends.
Yeah.
That's true. That's a perfect example right there.
And that's another part of the statistic is if you own one gun, you're more than likely to own multiple.
Yeah.
You get the bug.
You definitely get an itch. You're like, oh, this is cool. Oh, but I like this one.
Yeah. It's a different caliber.
Hey,
Xavier warned me, and I've not stopped since I pulled the trigger.
Cale has bought one gun a month for the past 3 years.
I have.
You got the itch for sure.
Yeah.
So
if anybody's seen John Wick, he actually has a cement slab over the rest of his guns that are buried underneath his house.
Damn, I wish I could get to this. I left the one I wanted down there.
Oh man, yeah,
arming every person.
Yeah, I think. Hopefully we can get into it later on, but arming every person. There is some definite risks to that. Not gonna lie.
Yeah,
not gonna.
But do they supersede your right to own a firearm?
No,
That's God given right.
No, that goes against your answer.
Yes.
There we go.
We got there. We're loading
figure
in the
it
chamber
out.
of our brains.
Yeah.
No, but de-arming the whole world, arming the whole world. I'm just thinking of the sheer volume of that, just the guns themselves, then the ammo, and then everything else that comes like resource-wise. How much metal? I mean, if you were to arm everybody, would you use more like plastic than steel? You would have to, right?
Yeah, I think most polymer.
Well, more like
if we're using current guns or all of the guns ever made that are currently in storage, I'd say wood and steel.
Oh, yeah.
Because polymer is what, 70s or so? 60s, 70s?
I think so, yeah.
Old Kalashnikovs and shit.
Yeah.
All metal.
And I think with everybody armed, there's that protection. Like there's the equalizer for everybody.
Exactly.
So everybody's armed. Everybody's got an equal opportunity
To do what?
to defend themselves
From another person with a gun.
Yeah.
We're going to settle this the old way.
Yeah.
And I'd like to imagine this, that everybody's armed. But
Yeah.
not everybody has the same gun. So it's just some
Yeah.
people just still have
No,
drastically
yeah, that's what
overpowered
I'm
guns.
picturing in my head. Like it's just everybody has
Like you
a
have a
firearm.
22 and Corey just has like a 45
I mean,
70.
it could,
Yeah.
like, I'm severely outgunned.
It's got a cannon
I thought we were equal.
in the eyes.
See,
Yeah.
you have a range of 50 yards. I have a range of 500.
Yeah. See, there's
So it started with the same number. It's fine.
it's fine.
There's a 5 and a 0 in there. And that's
Somewhere.
like the same thing.
It's literally
Yeah.
the same thing.
Well, yeah, I know that sounds crazy, but I think everybody should.
I think there could be pros to it. I'm not going to lie. There could be pros. Maybe we'll get into it. Maybe we won't. And this is just a waste of time.
Maybe. Would you guys think people would be safer with all those firearms? Right?
If it would, do I think people would be safer if everybody had a firearm?
Yeah.
No.
Why?
But also, I wonder how many years would it take before things start to level off? Because I think like in this hypothetical I'm currently creating from my brain right now, where tomorrow we wake up and everybody gets access to a firearm.
Okay.
I think for the first several years, there would be a lot of violence where people die because of gun violence. But then I wonder, would there be a plateau in that violence if everybody was still armed after that set period of time?
I think so.
Would enough people who are willing to harm just for the ability to harm somebody, would they no longer exist? Would they be shot out of existence? I guess is what I'm asking.
I would imagine that scenario would happen. I think that there would be the one-offs of everybody, of people who have it made up in their mind of either grudges or people that they have a history of violence with or
Viggo
mental
Mortensen.
mental issues or whatever it need be. That first wave would happen. But I wonder also if everybody has a gun, if someone sees an act of violence, is there always going to be somebody who's going to act upon that?
Yeah, that's true.
You
like
know,
respond to it.
respond to that like right off the bat. If
Yeah.
we're in a populated area, or even if you're neighbors or whatever, if everyone has a gun, you commit a murder, you're almost ensuring that you're going to die.
Yeah, force is met by force, but it's done by strangers. How do you get involved in any way?
Right.
Right. What's the legal? Another thing that we would have to think about is like, what
And
is the
another thing.
and the legal ramifications of stuff. Would you have to just prove that it's self-defense? And then if they find that that's like, how do you govern everyone with a gun?
Or you make every gun a smart gun.
Oh, smart gun.
Yeah.
Not a dumb gun.
Every gun is biometrically attached to every citizen.
That'd
And
be
all
cool.
of those records are kept by the government.
Oh,
Which
Yeah.
we can overthrow now.
Yeah.
Everyone's got guns.
Yeah.
well, what if they turn off the guns?
Oh, shoot.
So you
Can
guys
the
are
government do that?
So yeah, it's smart.
Can they turn off guns?
They hack the guns.
Is that something they're working on? Legit? That's something they're working on. It's got to be.
Yeah, it's
I
the
don't
EMP of gunpowder.
Oh, damn it. I want
The
those guns from
dreaded EMP.
Underworld. Ultraviolet bullets.
Oh, damn.
Still a bullet will still kill you.
An ultraviolet. So it's a bullet made of light?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just looks like
kill
it has that
vampires.
highlighter blue Powerade color.
Wouldn't that just be a flashlight, though? because you can't bulletize light.
And that's Underworld.
That's Underworld, man. You just ruined the whole series. It's over.
I should have gone with that. I should have lost it. Lost in the immersion.
That's
man. That would work. You idiot. That's when I would have shot you, Corey. If we all had guns.
It's the magic UV light bullet.
Dude, how many warning shots? You just hear cracks throughout the day, right?
Oh, dude, people are just
don't come near my car.
Oh, you probably would, yeah.
I would love to just imagine that you only get one stockpile of bullets for like the year.
Oh God,
just get one.
Yeah,
cache.
everybody gets 12 bullets.
Yeah, and then it's like use them sparingly, guys.
Yeah, this is the limit number.
Yep.
That
would suck.
I think we're gonna get more into that with in our next section right after these ads. Hi, folks. My name is Xavier Chapman, creator and host of the Weekly Tall Talk. I would like to say thank you for listening to today's episode. If you like what you've been hearing, we would love to know what you think. After the episode, don't forget to leave a comment or reach out to us on our socials, where you can find us at the Weekly Tall Talk. We're excited to say we're working on a couple other awesome projects for this year. If you would like to know more about that or find out what else we're working on, we have a Patreon and Discord that you can subscribe to, where we can be found at Tall Tale Network. And if you have any other questions or ideas for what you'd like us to discuss on the show, please email us at talltalenetwork@gmail.com. Welcome back from those ads. Hope you enjoyed them out there listening. Are we ready to get back into this,
Let's
gentlemen?
do it. Let's
I think so.
lock and load.
Lock and load. Okay. So we're going to go with the two answers that you guys chose. De-arming, no arms.
Armless T-Rex.
Yeah. Would people be safer if nobody had firearms?
I think in a literal sense. Yeah, I think if there were absolutely no way for anybody to access firearms immediately, then people would have to really calculate what they're going to do.
Right.
Whether it be going to the grocery store or surviving a home invasion.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, that person breaking into your house at the very least wouldn't have a firearm.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I would say in my glass half full world, we're safer without firearms overall. Yes. In our homes, in our civilian lives, and the things that we do, I think we would be absolutely safer. Yeah.
I think people being safer without firearms, it would limit a lot of robberies. Like you said, home invasions, I'm kind of splintering off from that, but armed robbery or robbery of any kind is usually a gun being flashed in your face and you get robbed.
Right.
Yeah. Without that, I mean, there would probably be easier ways of combating that. Maybe more glass or maybe a harder way to get over a counter or something like that, because it would have to be something physical at that point versus just shooting and taking someone's life that way. So I think overall it'd be safer because people would have to be up close and personal. It doesn't take much effort to just pull your trigger.
Machete fights.
Yeah, machetes, knives, like bludgeoning people. That's particularly brutal.
Yeah.
So I would hope not.
I wonder if would this change people's behavior, change their thinking, because there's crimes that are committed without firearms.
Yes.
They're still done. People are stabbed and
bludgeoned of the moment.
Bludgeoned to death with stuff.
Fights,
so, I mean, would you guys think it would would it change mindsets? Could it change somebody from doing an act of evil or harm on somebody? If they didn't have
what line of thought are you asking us to think in? As the perpetrator or as the victim?
As the perpetrator, would you still, even though if you were able to have access to a gun, but now you don't?
Yeah,
you still, I guess, I don't know. Would you still do the crime?
I would feel.
I guess it depends on the person. Huh?
This is a terrible thing to say.
Yeah,
but
we're gonna say it.
I'm gonna say it because it's me. But I would almost feel emboldened, to do something if I knew nobody had a gun to stop me immediately.
And you did have a gun or did not?
I did not have a gun.
But you
Really?
knew that the other
If
person
I know
you
that
take
that
more
other
of a
person-
risk.
Yeah, more of a risk. Like I know they're not going to have that. They're either going
'Cause
to have
you
a
know
knife
they
or
don't
a
have
bat
that-
or something,
'cause-
or just physical strength.
Well, it probably comes down to like if you have someone who's bigger than you, bigger, stronger.
Right. Or someone who
They
you have to
know-
count on that person to have
Yeah.
something to defend themselves versus the thing. I'm not saying like, oh, nobody's going to do it. Anybody can get knocked out or you trip or you fall or dog bites you or whatever, anything. But like, I would almost be more apt if I was to do something nefarious to go in knowing I'm not going to instantly be killed.
Right. There will
Or
be
the likelihood is
some-
lower.
Yeah. You wouldn't go in knowing that like, okay, this person may or may have a gun.
Well, if they
And
don't have a
if they
shotgun.
do have a shotgun or whatever, if they shoot me, I'm done for.
Yeah.
Whereas now, like, okay, now I know there's no firearm in this equation. Period. Regardless, I may have a better chance of doing whatever I'm about to do.
Right. And
Or surviving.
no, I'm just saying that's my whole point. If it is a physical altercation, I have more of a chance to get away. If it's a physical altercation that's not knives or whatever, if you're just in a straight up fight and you're scrambling
as a victim.
as a victim or as the perpetrator, say the tides turn, you're the one entering the house to do something. Pearson's beating the shit out of you. You're more likely to get away without somebody shooting you in the back or advancing upon you.
Yeah.
You're more likely to survive the encounter. I'm basing my whole thing off of your survivability.
So so what I'm picking up is that with guns, incidents will still happen. They will just be more deadly.
Yes.
Right.
I think you choose to do that if someone has the means.
Because there is more of like, because it's like you get, that is going to end. I mean, people survive from getting shot, but
Oh yeah.
more than
That's gonna
likely
end
you will
that
die from getting shot.
Altercation. Yeah, there's probably a pause in it. If
Yeah.
one of you is shot, that altercation usually will stop, I would imagine. But and it also factors in we're giving people a lot of benefit of the doubt that everyone is going to have the fortitude to stand your ground or whatever.
Yeah, or pull the
fight
trigger.
or flight thing.
Yeah,
People might freeze
absolutely,
up.
yeah.
People might not want to. Everybody's armed, but you don't want to do it.
Absolutely.
I don't want to take someone's life. I don't want to, that's more apt for like warning shots or something,
Right,
maybe
yeah.
like that. But me personally, to circle back to the question, I would be emboldened as a criminal to do something knowing that I'm not going to meet an immediate demise. Probably.
But
You're not a criminal. I'm just kidding.
yeah. But even in saying that, like again, like we're talking about survivability at this point. Where like
Right.
sure you might be more emboldened to rob a grocery store or whatever, but at least in doing that, you're not going to panic, pull out a 9 and just spray into a crowd and
Right.
hope that you can get away.
I'm not going to panic, right? Or take a hostage would probably be not as easy.
No, that definitely happens. I've definitely
Yeah.
seen people like hold hot, like especially in Asian countries.
Oh yeah,
where
they
they do have
scissors,
Yeah,
or
you
knives,
can-
machetes,
cleavers,
whatever.
the
Yeah.
fuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about you, Xavier?
Would people be safer if nobody had firearms? I think there would be some safety. I think for I don't know if they would be more safer. I mean, I guess I'm thinking of just like the bad scenarios. Like I'm always like that's where my head's going. But I mean, if there's no firearms, I mean, I guess there's people would not be. I guess I don't know if people would be safer, but there would be probably less fatalities. I think.
Yeah,
because that's just more of a gun is going to end. That's the tool. It's designed to end whatever you're shooting at.
Right.
You can't say that.
I can't say that.
No, there are going to be so many people who are mad at you.
Why?
Because a gun is not a tool designed to kill, Xavier.
It's a
Everybody
tool.
knows that.
The bullets kill people.
Yeah.
Oh, right. The guns walk around and shoot everybody.
Yeah.
The guns are sentient.
The bullets are bad. Guns are good.
Guns are only bullets bad.
Darn them. Darn those bullets.
Not the only thing. I think you would see a rise in kind of creative crimes versus this. And I only say that in the terms of like not having access to guns to not do mass shootings.
No.
You would have to find something else. Unfortunately, probably explosives or,
But I mean, dude, that's so
been
extreme
forever,
though.
though.
Look, I
Yeah.
mean, we got to remember we're Americans. Like
Yeah.
we're one of the only developed countries who has this fucking problem. In England, they have knife attacks. Australia, whatever, they have knife attacks. But like they don't have mass shootings. They don't have these kind of violent outbursts that you can only achieve with a firearm.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because
if you have ill will, you could do very much damage.
And I do want to say, like, if we didn't have access to firearms as a civilian, how much would our police force be the way that they are currently? Because they're trained to think that everybody has a gun at all times and is ready to kill.
That's an interesting.
I guess, yeah. That would probably follow up to the next question I have. It's like, should we would in this scenario of being de-armed, would the police forces or public safety forces like that be de-armed as well? Are we talking about the whole world being de-armed?
Yeah, I would be looking to the UK or the Australian model, where some of the police in there do have access to a firearm.
Yeah,
but they don't all carry.
They don't all carry.
Because I mean, again, when you're meeting force with more force, like, people are just going to be hurt. Like, the de-escalation needs to be the main thing.
Well, they just use batons and tasers.
Yeah, they don't have any. Some of this, just like the street cops over there, don't have firearms.
Yeah, I'm not wholly familiar, but I know that not every single officer, patrol officers, don't walk around with firearms on them.
Yeah, I think they have them in their car, maybe, but I don't think
locked away. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't think.
Or even we can look at Japan. Their model is their handguns. I think they still use revolvers, but they're on cords. So every time they pull out their gun, it notifies the police department that they've pulled out their firearm.
Right. Yeah, and I know that there's some like, you know, like the SWAT version of in the UK police, they have firearms, like special military police or whatever.
Yeah. The
higher up, the escalation, I guess. Response teams.
Once it hits this threshold, that's when this has to happen.
Yeah,
that is an interesting point, though. Like, would they respond that way with fear for their lives?
Yeah.
If we didn't have access to firearms and they know that we don't have them, would they need them?
If the public didn't, the citizens didn't have firearms, but the police did,
even if they didn't,
or have it to a limited extent, like the UK or like Germany or
like
something
that. And then the police training would be in non-lethal things, and you would have maybe more training or more well versed in de-escalation to the point where you don't need that, and your training is supposed to what holds you over, or have more police to respond to a thing instead of having just guns.
And again, to use the Europe as a model for this question, we and they don't have many stories per year of a police officer discharging their firearm in most European countries.
Right.
They don't have problems with police shooting a civilian.
Right.
Or shooting into a home or into a vehicle they think is a threat because an acorn dropped.
Yeah.
War on the trees.
I think, I mean, that's a separate question, but I think we would be safer as a whole if police just didn't have lethal force to begin with.
Yeah, I think if the public was going to be de-armed, they shouldn't be armed either.
Right.
Yeah, that would, because if they were armed and the public wasn't, then now you're looking at like a government body that's armed to patrol you and police you.
That's what I'm. That's the next point.
Yeah,
that was the next point. If we allowed police and military to still have weapons, we would get stomped on. I thoroughly believe that, even if we were not a threat.
We're getting stomped on now.
Exactly. Well, I'm just saying it would be more so. It would be even way more tilted.
You think it would be further skewed?
I think so. I think so. They're like, they
don't
have guns. Let's regulate. Let's regulate everything, and I think oppression would happen worse.
Okay, but again, look at Europe. Look at Australia. Again, like we stated, their police force do have firearms. Their civilians do have limited access to firearms,
right? And
they don't have the same events we do.
No, I mean, like if they're not armed to the teeth like our officers are here.
Yeah.
So they scale back their arms, I guess.
Yeah.
And is that in direct response to them not having access to firearms as much over there?
You know, I don't know. I mean, I think that,
I think that's a good question. I don't have an answer for that.
I feel like you can only have. I'm not even going to comment. Actually, I don't know.
Well,
I feel
like your idea. That's fine.
I know they don't have full autos over there. I know that they probably don't have assault rifles. I think they have.
Who's they?
Like Australia, I'm using as an example. I think
civilians do not have access.
No, they don't. I don't believe so. I feel like they have a list of things.
You can get a firearm and you can get a rifle.
That's
like a shotgun or something.
Shotgun
too,
or
right?
that.
Firearm. I meant shotgun, my dumbass. Yes, you can get a shotgun and you can get a rifle. I think handguns in Australia, you have to be very specific in your purpose. Kind of like what America has for some other like conceal and carry things.
Yes,
you have to have a reason to be owning something like this.
Right. Yeah. I think that's
so. I mean, that's probably a direct correlation to like them only having access to this. We don't need to respond with as much force, knowing that you could still kill people with a shotgun and a rifle, obviously.
Oh yeah,
but not to the level of like Mandalay Bay over here. That's a war. That's war type weapons. That's meant for mass murder.
Yeah, ARs and bump stocks, baby.
Yeah, the bump stock. Yeah.
So I mean, would it be? And then you say, like, would it be more likely to give it up if you didn't have that in any way? I also think escalations between countries would be way different. We think it's badass to, or at least I do in ancient history, for them to meet on the war like that, but it's such a barbaric thing to do now. It would seem very unlikely that you're going to line up with a bunch of swords and go at each other. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like it's less likely that we would solve problems like, hey, guys, let's send 200,000 guys in that field and you guys meet us over there too.
Well, see, that's why you take away firearms and you give everyone drones.
Oh, shit. Just flying drones into it. No explosives, just the drones.
Yeah, just the drones.
Just the drones hitting everybody.
Oh, shit. Cut my eye. My cornea.
Yeah, they're just bashing it.
Third time this week.
Just tie a knife to a drone.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. We already have the knife missile.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. See, it's
already in the works.
Yeah. If there's a way, somebody will do it.
Yeah.
Somebody will do it.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about like militaries and governments. Like who would
Get out.
who do you
Stop your
guys think,
scaring him, Xavier.
who do you guys think would be more more willing to give up their arms first? Would it be like military or civilians?
I would like the military to do it first before I give up anything.
You do it.
No,
you go first.
I would like a demonstration of good faith from the cops or the military before I'm willing to say, here, let's completely surrender.
Yeah.
It's not our way.
No.
My vote, obviously, I think the military would have the civilians give it up, but I would rather the military in a drastically overpowering us anyway with whatever they have access to. Please stop.
So I think a little bit differently. I think like if the military, strictly the military, like the armed branches of the government, have access to firearms, we wouldn't be in that much danger as civilians. Like unless we did get a dictator for some reason.
Right.
I don't think we really have much to fear. Like the National Guard got called in like a couple times and then they did a massacre at Kent State. But like other than that, like the border patrol isn't out there shooting anyone.
Right.
Like typically.
Yeah.
But where's it going with that?
I was thinking you were talking about we wouldn't be in so much danger as opposed to like civilians.
But in saying that, I think that still we need to have an unarmed police force or have them with quote unquote less lethal things like bean bags or tasers, or, things like that to defend themselves with, because they need to have those precautions.
Yeah, there's bad people out there.
I think if civilians versus military versus police, the civilians and the police would have to agree to give up their firearms first.
Before the military.
Yeah. And I think the military would kind of be the last to worry about, because realistically, we are a country that does need to defend ourselves from other countries. And if we just gave up all of our fucking arms, that would be a big problem for the United States.
Yeah.
It would be good.
China's
because we did a lot of crime.
Just like, China's over there like, guys, you're not going to fucking believe this. Look at what this guy's doing right here. Look.
Yeah. Now. Everybody go tread on those guys.
We're going to tread them.
No step on snack.
Just really quick before we move on, but do you think, this is kind of hard to say, it's very objective. Do you think police would be better in terms of community like involvement and all of these other things to not rely on lethal force? Would you need more training or more ways to be like proactive in terms of like rendering aid or having more of I would assume you would have more cops. If you're responding to a situation, more police with non-lethals is better than two police with lethals.
So in what you're presenting is a multitude of questions. What are the police there to do? Are they your first responders?
Let's say, let's paint that picture.
No. I mean, now, like, what is the police there to do? Are they there to show up with a gun to solve your problem? Or do you call them because your brother's having a schizophrenic episode in the bathroom and you don't know what to do because they have a knife?
Well, he's going to shoot them. He's going to get shot.
Yes.
So they should not be the ones. They shouldn't respond to mental health episodes.
So
unless they're not armed.
That's what my question is.
If they're not armed, I think that they should respond to that and use tactics and use training versus.
But, I mean, that's leaving it up to the officer.
But if they all go through the same training, wouldn't it be regulated that way for you to respond to mental health crisis in a certain way versus like, oh, it's up to you to what you think is happening?
So let me posit this. I don't think police should be responding to mental health crises.
That's fair.
There's a Portland had a great trial with this. It's a crisis response team. It's an alternate number. If somebody's having a mental health crisis, you can call them, and a psychologist or somebody in the psychology field, plus a first responder who's actually equipped with medical knowledge, show up. And police are not involved in any way.
My only pushback on that is, what if the person is violent and those people are not used to violence?
Then you call the police, because the police are there to respond to violence. They are there to look and track down violent crime. In my understanding of what the police are, they're there to do detective work. They're there to prevent crime and not commit murder.
More of a response versus preemptive.
Yeah, I don't think that they should have a license to kill. Frankly, and they do.
That's the badge.
Yeah, that's qualified immunity. That's the badge. That's this brotherhood, this network of gangs that is currently infiltrated
the sheriffs.
Yeah, every police force in the United States.
Yeah, like it. Yeah, I would wonder too, like if like you guys made an example of the crisis, the mental health crisis call line. It's a different number. You're calling somebody who's trained in that kind of thing to help try to talk people down or consult, just give help.
Yeah.
And then you brought up, what if they become violent? What if the officers are there with the,
you respond all at once.
But the officers hang back and don't get in the way of things
until you are beckoned over by those other professionals.
So I hear what you're saying.
Response time.
By nature, a police force increases tension.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're backed out. They're
not like visible.
They're not. Yeah, they're not
in your scenario. They're nearby.
They're nearby. Well, they'd be like by wherever the call is, but not like with the people on scene right away, or at least nearby. Like that way, they can be just to shorten their response time.
Yeah, exactly.
If something were to go awry,
if need be, while they're like patrolling. If they're not patrolling a certain area, having them in the vicinity of a response would make sense.
I would still be very fearful because cops are not good with anybody having a mental health crisis.
No,
right?
Yeah, and unpredictability.
Using Portland's crisis response team as an example, it was the power dynamics is objectively 2-to-1. You have 2 healthcare professionals and 1 person, and if that person having a mental health crisis somehow harms one of the other person, there's another person there. You have a backup. You're not going as an individual to solve this. You're going as a team. And then that team, as far as I know, they do work with the police, but they're not there as a first response.
Gotcha.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And I would like to see things go that way, because I don't think anybody on this earth wants to hear about a police officer killing somebody.
No,
it's not what they're supposed to do. Protect and serve. So literally on the side of the car.
Yeah, but the Supreme Court said that they don't have to do that either. So,
which is really weird. They don't have to legally help you.
Yes, that's correct.
You know what?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. I never knew that was a thing until a few years ago. And
pretty horrifying.
That is it's insane that they have to choose to help you. That is crazy.
And they can't face legal ramification if they just choose not to.
It's like, sorry, we had priority calls somewhere else.
Yeah. Brinks home alarm in the Hollywood Hills, buddy. This is live, buddy.
This is live. Guys, if smart guns worked perfectly, would people feel
How it's its penis.
God, I can't speak. What about if smart guns worked perfectly, would people feel better about giving up dumb guns? I mean, what is a smart gun?
It depends how cool the smart guns look.
Oh, futuristic. Like every gun looks like a Tesla Cybertruck.
Oh, no.
Damn.
I don't want it.
They all weigh the same, too. That's what's
That
crazy.
size?
You just have to drag the gun around like...
It's like, here's your cannon.
It's a
car.
drivable gun.
Yeah, it's a drivable gun.
I'm not familiar with smart guns, so...
Oh, yeah. Xavier, you want to set up what a smart gun is?
Isn't there? I don't know.
Oh, okay. So a smart gun is one that cannot. It's typically a biometric gun or a battery powered gun with an RFID chip. That when you get close enough to the handgun, that's when you can use the gun. But if the RFID chip, typically in a watch or worn around the wrist, isn't close enough to the gun cannot be discharged in any sense. There's also another smart gun that I saw that works with your biometrics. So it works with your fingerprint. Alone, and it will not fire unless your I think it's your thumb and your pointer finger are
on those sensors
biometrically scanned.
Okay,
and if there's any point like the backstrap safety on a 1911, if your hand is not engaged correctly, the gun will not discharge.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what a smart gun is. A dumb gun is just any gun.
Any gun that doesn't
not
have any of that biometric stuff. That's like Judge Dredd stuff.
That's
right
exactly
like
what
the
it
Law
is.
Masters.
Yeah.
Wait, no.
Lawbringer? Lawgiver?
Peacemaker.
It's the Lawgiver.
Lawgiver?
I think in the Law Masters, the bike.
Oh, yeah.
I always get those mixed up. It's sick. But
Yeah,
yeah,
man,
and that's
rules.
like, I mean, that'd be kind of cool.
I-
A smart gun like
The
that.
only
Yeah.
pushback is when we were assing off earlier and you said the government can turn them off. That makes me wary.
Oh,
I don't
that
know
would
if that
be-
was a smart ass comment or not, but that
I don't
seems
know.
like it's something they could do.
They hack your guns.
Sure, but I mean,
But I mean, if
turn
it's
them off is like getting
biometrics, I don't know
low-jacked
if they
and
could. Yeah, I don't. I mean, if they fry the electronics somehow.
yeah.
Yeah, and they would
But-
have to have all smart guns. That doesn't seem like
I just want to
real
know
thing.
we don't really have technology like
No,
that
we
currently. We don't have like mass EMP technology.
OnStar.
Yeah.
OnStar.
OnStar.
Glockstar.
Clockstar. Well,
But it's so I'll answer. I think
Yeah.
that in a perfect world, if smart guns worked perfectly every time, I would rather see every dumb gun burned. It just destroyed. And
Well,
the only guns we have access to are smart guns.
so you would burn all the
What if you just
beautiful
converted?
1911s.
Oh yeah, I'd
The
eat,
beautiful
I'd
convert
eat
M1
a couple of
grips.
them and watch them just burn.
What if you can convert our guns to smart guns with the biometrics somehow? Like
There's
something
a
that
way
you
to
could
convert.
add
Yes,
on
but
instead.
the smart gun is the point that I'm getting at.
Yeah,
like if it's
that technology.
If you can make a dumb gun smart, perfect.
I want a lever action smart gun.
God, that'd be cool. It'd be like cyberpunk.
Yeah.
That's what I'm picturing. I mean,
Yeah.
But
futuristic,
Xavier, I'm
cool.
interested in your opinion. Do you think
Yeah.
smart guns would, if they work perfectly, would people feel better about giving up other firearms?
I don't know if I think it would be a cool thing to have a smart gun and have it work perfect. Like it's always linked up to you. No one else can shoot it but you. So, for whatever reason, like if it's stolen, you lose it, well, hopefully you don't lose your gun. But like, if it's stolen, no one can use that firearm to then hurt somebody else because they can't unlock it.
Right.
They can't access its functions. Maybe I think people would probably feel like it's more of a safety device and they're okay with maybe giving away or selling or something, or maybe like Cale, you mentioned converting a dumb gun into a smart gun if that's possible.
Right.
I don't know if people would feel better about it because it's like the dumb guns is what they are used to and know, like that's what they've always known, I guess, maybe. And then there's people that are collectors and stuff that like historical things or old guns. So maybe they wouldn't give up those.
But even then, you could decommission those firearms.
Yeah, you
make
could
them inoperable.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, I really just, I don't know. I think if smart guns were a cool thing and they worked, that'd probably be amazing. Cause then I think it would cut down on, guns being stolen and used in crimes.
Yes.
Guns being lost and used in crimes, because guns do get lost somehow.
Yeah.
I had
accidental discharges
I heard
in the home.
or accidental discharges
a
in
kid
the home.
not being able to have access to your firearm, a disgruntled child of yours, or your disgruntled spouse, or you being pissed.
Oh yeah, I mean exactly. All that.
Well, not you. You would have access to it.
Oh, that's
not
true.
me.
Yeah.
An infant or child has shot one adult every week for the past 2 years.
Yeah, I mean they
it's a good shot.
It's part of the one of the gun test to get a permit here is like one of the questions is that and an infant, not an infant, but like someone is like 1 or 2 can use their thumb and pull that trigger.
Yep.
And generally, where is that gun pointing if they're going to pull it with their thumb?
Yeah.
Horrifying.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen some dumb videos of kids like shooting parents and stuff, but like, I mean, that would definitely cut that down.
Yeah.
You only have access to that firearm.
You would have to commit the crime.
Yeah.
There would be no way around it.
Yeah.
You were responsible.
There'd be no other way for that firearm to go off if it got in anybody else's hands.
Yeah.
Right.
So that would be cool. I mean, that's futuristic tech right there.
They could do it.
That could
Would you feel comfortable if smart guns were perfect, right?
Yeah.
Would you feel comfortable if there is a 5-year initiative saying by every world government is buying every gun before 2034? 2024. So every gun before 2024 needs to be rounded up and destroyed. Unless you're a collector, then it needs to be completely decommissioned. The only guns you can have are smart guns from now on.
I would only be okay with that if the guns were given to me. I don't want to have to pay for something new
to replace what you've invested.
So what if it's an exchange program?
That's
fine.
The smart guns would have to be, probably limited. You're not going to get this customization like yours with ARs or different handguns or shotguns and things like that. It would probably be a much more limited selection, but a selection nonetheless.
Yeah, you and I would not need the amount of guns we have. Because I'm not assuming that there's here's 10 different options.
Well,
it's probably like the standard whatever. And then and who's to say they would give you multiple guns? Like if you give them, just throw out a number, 10 guns, are they really going to want to be like, here's 10 guns?
Yeah, that would be my bargain.
That would have to be it.
Yeah. Interesting.
If so you're not getting my guns.
Somewhat equivalent exchange.
Yeah. Cause it's like, why should I've worked hard to get this stuff. And now I'm forced to give it away.
What if it was a monetary incentive? I know you don't think gun buybacks work, but if there was something like that,
it would have to be equal to what I paid, not an arbitrary amount. It has to be what I paid for it.
Okay.
Like,
did you keep your receipt?
The government's got tax. No, yeah, but I mean, it had to be what I paid for.
Yeah, your investment has to be returned to you.
I don't think that's a bad idea, honestly. I mean, if this whole point of this conversation is to see what middle ground we can get to, and if that's a conclusion, I'm for it.
Yeah,
pay us all the money back.
You spent $2,200 on an AR, and you want that money back, or the equivalent of exchange of a $800 smart pistol. Give it the money. Give them the money and the pistol. Like that. That's fine.
Because I think that's because it's something that people worked hard for and they paid for. And it's like that. Why force them to give something that they've done? They've forked out money for that.
And like you said, maybe decommissioning stuff because a lot of things is sentimental, passed down.
Sure.
This is my dad's, mom's gun, whatever, my brother's. But you have all that stuff that if you could decommission them and not have to get rid of it completely, that would be cool. In that sense. Other than that, pay me. Take them.
Or you could make them like a cool futuristic, like 1911. Yeah. I don't know.
Biometric 1911. That'd be sick.
Something wacky looking.
I want a futuristic 1887, but sawed off.
Yeah. Well, these are great talking points. I think it's time for our ad break.
Oh, whoa. That's crazy.
And I think we wrote a nice song about it.
About guns?
About guns.
Wow.
Yeah.
Check out this song about guns.
Is that a ladder? Who's that on my roof? It's Mr. Drone, he's one in a million. guess what you can't. Everyone's trapped, no remorse. Oh, I said it before and I'll say it again. Who's that on the roof? Secret Service should be bolstered. Never learn how to use their holster. Gotta stop for the photo op before we hear the next pop, pop, pop. Try to take our guns by force. Guess what you can't. Everyone's trapped, no remorse. Oh, remorse. I said it before, and I'll say it again. Who's that on the roof? Please try to tread on this. Don't stop treading. I'm about to bust. Don't stop treading. I said it before, and I'll say it again. Who's that on the roof? Pop, pop, pop. Please try to tread on this. Don't stop treading. I'm about to bust. Don't stop treading. I said it before, and I'll say it again. Who's that on the roof? Pop, pop, pop. Pop, pop, pop.
And welcome back from those ads. I hope you like that song.
Yeah, I do too. We made it.
Yeah.
Songs.
Songs. It was a good song. That song will be up on our Patreon and a little bit later on our YouTube as well. Check it out.
Well, now let's transition over from we're gonna go into every person on the planet has guns. My choice.
Everyone has a gun.
Yeah,
Even
everybody.
Even me. Would we have a more polite society if everybody was armed? Do you guys think? A polite society. If everybody was armed.
I don't know if I would be more polite just because I and another person has a firearm. I would think that I would be under a lot more anxiety of my day-to-day. Like, I already don't think about not getting shot, but if everybody had a gun and I knew everybody had access to a firearm, no matter what their circumstances are in life, I would have anxiety about that. I would not feel comfortable going places.
Yeah,
there's just too many people who've had a bad day at work.
Yeah,
and
man.
I don't want to be around for that.
Yeah.
I don't think people, but I mean, even like it would not counting about like shooting or violence, or I don't think people would objectively be more polite. There's a lot of cunt people in the UK.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
True.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be assholes everywhere, right?
Right.
Like that's just how it is. That's just people. What about you, Cale?
I feel like potentially cooler heads would prevail.
Okay.
I think you could have the adverse argument for that, but I also think, is this worth getting shot over?
Oh yeah,
that would be a constant back and forth in my brain of being like, do I want to be a dick? Or
I want to get
this,
shot?
Is this worth the thing? Do I want to push this?
Yeah.
And that's not to say like
you
people
don't
would
know.
bully you or not, but like, I mean, I think everybody would, like you said, with your anxiety or being anxious, I think everyone would be on edge, but it would be more for a case to not upset people.
Yeah.
And to be like, nobody better fuck with me, but because then you're going to get blasted. If I see you shoot Corey, I'm shooting you.
Right. Yeah. And that's like,
you know, I'm there. I'm going to shoot somebody. I got this gun. I'm going to use it.
I got to shoot somebody.
Yeah, they gave me this for a reason.
But no, yeah. I mean, if that's to you guys' point. Like it's somebody's going to do something stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's just
guaranteed.
just
Like
fucking
you said,
humans right there. Like,
whittle people out.
It doesn't matter even if they, yeah, I think if somebody was wanting to do something bad, they would just do it. Like it's just, or if it's a spontaneous thing, I'm so angry. Like,
it happens now. You're drawing from real life.
yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
that I don't know if you'd ever get away from that, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, because even in states in this country where, you know, you can open carry, conceal carry, whatever, there's still violence. There's still gun shootings and stuff like that. There's still crime. There's still people
Crimes
that
of
get
passion,
shot.
whatever.
And those crime rates do go up when
it's-
you have things like that in place.
And I think it really, I don't think, to answer the question too, like, I don't think there'd be a more polite society. I think that people would just maybe be more on edge if everybody was armed. Maybe there would be cooler heads. Maybe in communities where everybody got along and there wasn't crime, or there's a very minimal amount of crime, would people be fine? Because but that's like looking at there's going to be, I don't know, pockets of crime that happens all over the country, and I think, or even all over the world. I mean, there's an opportunity for a crime that I'm sure it's going to be taken.
Right.
I just think that hopefully most people would realize, like, hey, if I'm going to do something, there's going to be pushback with equal measure. Like, there's not going to be, I'm the guy who's got the advantage. No. Everybody else has a similar advantage as I do.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to do something heinous, I got to know, like, I got to prepare myself. There's going to be consequences. I'm not going to get away from scot-free.
Right.
I may die doing this because someone else is armed regardless.
And that's a risk I'm willing to take.
And then
Every
there's people
time.
like, there's people like, well, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
This, whatever I'm doing, like whatever I'm planning to do, like, it's worth it.
And
The end goal is worth it.
to play devil's advocate on that, if you are in a position where you are pulling out a firearm to shoot at somebody because you're not in a proper headspace, chances are, and I am drawing this from absolutely nothing, but my assumptions is that you'll probably pull the trigger again and then again and then again and keep going, instead of just having one shot and being like, "Yep, that solved my problem."
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
go
think
for
people
broke,
would
kind of.
just mag dump.
Oh,
And then like we're saying, like we're saying, like the polite society, if everybody's armed, if we're agreeing again in this hypothetical that people would be more anxious knowing that others have a firearm, now you have a lot of anxious people who are armed, worrying every
like
moment.
it.
We would all be police officers.
I correlate
always on the
this-
edge.
Every
right?
one of us.
I correlate this to driving. The only thing that keeps us kind of like in line is paint on the ground and the repercussions of what's going to happen if you drift over the line.
Yeah.
I think that's exact representation of this. You cross that line, everybody in here is going to light you up.
And I think too, like,
Well, not everybody, but you know what I mean? Like, no,
Yeah,
there's going to be,
there's
like you
something
said,
bad's
there's
gonna
going to
happen.
be
Yeah.
repercussions.
Yeah, there's gonna be a
There's going to be cause
repercussion.
and effect no matter what you're doing.
Yeah.
Something's going to happen. And it's that invisible fact that something is going to happen if you choose to do this one way or another.
Right.
Well, that's now, but you're going to get shot instantly.
Yeah. And that's a good point or analogy there. Like, I think too that if think that also too a shift, because not everybody likes guns.
Mhm.
But if everybody's thrust, because we're talking about everybody having guns, people who don't like guns or people that are afraid of them, or people that don't care about them, they don't have an interest in them, they may not know how to use them properly.
Sure.
And maybe unsure of what to do in a situation when that happens, and maybe just like the anxious sets in, being anxious, and they just pop off on an altercation. Like, I didn't mean to do that. Oh
Yeah.
shit! You just
Exactly.
killed this guy.
Yeah. But
I
you've
think,
increased your likeliness of fatally wounding somebody.
And we're operating with the fact of this, or at least I'm assuming that's where our conversation is going. We're talking about the point where we're always brandishing everything. Half the people would not even want to be anywhere near them, maybe lock them in the closet at their house. And they gave me a gun, but I'm not going to carry it. We're talking about the ones that are willing to be brandishing, always carrying, always having it on you.
Yeah.
Versus like, I don't want that shit.
That
near
makes
me.
sense. Yeah.
I'm going to leave it locked in the thing. I don't want it.
And let's point out too here that crimes that we're kind of talking around here, like robberies or holdups, anything like that, those are typically symptoms of poverty. They're symptoms of a society that does not have access to a lot, like healthcare. There's wealth inequality. There's typically redlining that comes into this. There's racial discrimination. All of these things factor into these kind of crimes. And that doesn't just go away because everybody now has a gun.
Oh, yeah.
And I think those areas, especially in cities that have more people surrounding each other, being under this extreme stress of what we currently live under, would probably not be conducive to a well-working atmosphere for the majority of people there.
No, I think the cities would be.
And in order to give everybody a gun, we would have to be equitable. Everybody would have to be on the same type of equality line. You can't have these symptoms of poverty because that's what is creating crime. Millionaires don't go robbing 7-Elevens, right?
No.
They just
you don't see a billionaire who is also a drug dealer doing hair. Okay, you're right. You caught me there. The cartels are a thing.
Yeah.
But
big pharma.
But even then, like that again, that's a different conversation for the war on drugs and why that is even still a thing. It doesn't make any fucking sense. But I guess that's what I'm getting at is the society at large is what needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
And if everybody had a gun and everybody was a multimillionaire, no, I don't think those crimes would really occur. I think that crimes of passion would probably be the worst thing that we have. Right. But other things like sprees, robberies, things like that probably really wouldn't be a thing.
I also operated thinking about this question from the standpoint of a lot of violence in this country is committed against women. Yes. I think if more women were armed or able to defend themselves, I feel like the violence against women would drastically go down, hopefully.
That's an interesting point.
Even if you don't want to carry a gun, just the fact that you have protection in some sense. I'm not saying like you're never safe, but like
well, not just women, but like, people of color in general.
Yeah, I mean, in any sense where I don't want to overstep, but like when you're more vulnerable, the more vulnerable people in society would be the ones that benefit from this, I think, in terms of not having to be as afraid or to have a means of protecting yourself versus, having these things happen or being in abusive relationships probably wouldn't be a thing. Because it's like, I'll shoot your ass.
I don't know. I still think I don't see
that's true. That's a mental thing.
Away.
That's different. But I would like to see women more well protected, and with this, there's the option for that at least. Maybe.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I mean, by this conversation, it would be a right.
Right. The right to bear arms.
Oh wow! Is that constitutional? Well, we'll check that out later. That's fine.
That's an old ass paper.
Yeah, who even looks at it anymore?
But I read it for the
people who go to museums. Those losers.
The museums.
Nick Cage is in one of them. I think he's looking for some document.
He's a national treasure.
He's a national burglar.
Technically a criminal.
He's a national burglar. Oh man. Well, I mean, I guess we were touching on violent crimes with our last question, but you guys think murders would go up with everybody armed?
If going back to the point that I made prior, if everything was exactly the same as
now,
as today, and we woke up tomorrow and everyone had a firearm sitting by their bed,
just running around,
I absolutely think murders would go up.
100%. You'd have that first wave of undeniable violence. I think.
It would be like the Purge, and I really don't know what would make it stop.
Yeah, how do you
fatigue maybe?
I don't know, because there'd still be like the same. Well, laws would be different if everybody has guns. Like, even criminals have guns.
Yeah, but how would you enforce it?
And what makes you?
No, I was saying like I don't know if like the law enforcement of it wouldn't be able to keep up. I would imagine with all that chaos.
No, I would imagine not.
Everywhere they go, there's more people than cops.
Oh,
and
no
more
matter
guns
what.
than what you have.
Yeah, because you still wake up without fucking money. You still don't have access to social welfare programs.
But
now you have a gun.
You got a gun.
Yeah.
That's all I need.
New lease on life.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, smart gun.
You got a smart gun.
Oh wow. Okay. I get used to this.
A Siri on your gun. Siri, how many left in the chamber?
Siri, burst fire mode, please.
Burst fire.
Okay.
Switching.
You're selling me on this.
There we go. He wants the app.
I want the app. How many more guns? How many more ammo in the chamber? That'd be funny.
Yeah, why don't you answer this? Because we kind of talked about it in the first thing. Do you think murders would go up?
I mean, I'd imagine more violence would come up if literally everybody was armed, like everybody.
Yeah.
I'm talking about criminals and like convicted people. I mean, criminals who are not allowed to have guns, and then they all of a sudden have guns. Like I think with everybody having firearms, tensions might increase. You know, like more murders may happen. Who knows? Like it's
I think you would see a rise in like extremist activity.
Yeah, because in my mind, I'm thinking like with the laws and rules that are put in place today about guns and who can own them and how do you get them and things like that. If that's just out the window, that's gone. Everybody's got one. Man, yeah, there's definitely going to be more violence.
Yeah,
I would imagine. I mean, people can get guns illegally. That's happened. That's still happening. That's always. I mean, I don't know if that would ever stop. Honestly, I don't know how you stop.
You get more guns.
Yeah, people make guns. They print them or
Ghost
they
guns.
import them. Cartels, gangs. Like they have
Look
ways.
at what happened to Shinzo Abe.
They have ways. Yeah, exactly. A country that has no guns for people. They made one and shot him.
Yeah.
So there's ways. Like it comes to that like thing. If there's a will, there's a way. Like somebody will. There is ways, and law enforcement are doing their best to mitigate that. Hopefully, but like if all that just went out the window, no rules, no laws regarding firearms themselves and who can possess them, how you get them. Yeah, for sure. I would think that there would be more deaths.
Yeah, I would
day.
agree, and I think that. One of the things we're talking to a lot is criminals, people that we don't want having guns. It's a really big blanket term for a group of people that are individuals.
I would say violent criminals.
Okay,
to narrow that down.
To narrow that
probably fair.
No white collar crime.
Something that we're not addressing that makes up a majority of the gun violence is suicide by gun.
That's another one.
It is.
And it's the highest. It's one of the biggest problem that men have in this country is suicide by gun.
I would figure that number would go up.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Drastically.
Because I think that not only would suicide go up or death by suicide, but I think that violent crimes committed before suicide would go up.
Yeah.
Yeah. You do something and then you're saying,
shit, I regret this. Bam.
Yeah.
Or, because I mean, like suicide by cop is a thing that is a very real thing. People do it often.
Sad.
Yeah. And I just, I
agree. I think you take whatever state we are in society right now, where mental health is at the forefront of everything.
Yeah.
And times are just harder, it seems, in general. And things are escalating politically, escalating in terms of everything, really, the rhetoric,
a lot of
everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you add that all into people who are lonely or unhappy, and there's here's something that you can,
use to end any life.
And you get in a dark headspace.
Yeah.
Who knows? So I was thinking about that earlier, but that would definitely be something that would spike.
Well, and this is like a something that I'll admit about myself. I suffered through depression my entire life. And that's one of the biggest reasons that I've never had a firearm. I am scared that I would use it on myself because of my depression. And I don't want to die. I don't want to die by suicide.
Right.
But it's a really big fear of mine. It's an anxiety that I have, which is something that's keeping me away from the firearms. I enjoy shooting. I love shooting with you guys. But having one in my house it's always going to be something in the back of my mind is just, I could get out of this so quickly. I could be done with all of my problems. My bills would go away. All of my sad thoughts would never be here anymore. And I could do it because I have access to this.
Right.
And that's not, I mean, even if with today's regulations and laws in place, there's nothing stopping me from doing that already. It's pretty fucking easy to get a firearm in this country.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
It's not there. I don't know if, I mean, I've thought about that kind of stuff too, going into the dark spots, but like when I first got mine, I don't think I've had thoughts like that, but I could never really act on them.
Yeah.
I just know in me that if I were to do something like that, you're hurting so many other people. So many other people that are close to you, your friends, family, like you would be destroying their lives. I don't know if you just would be hurting a lot of people. And I wouldn't want to do that. I don't want to die. I'd love to live. I'd love to hang around, be with friends, family and stuff. And I totally get that though, what you're saying. Cause it's a thought process that you go to, at least for me, is like if I'm in a bad spot, I'm like, man, or if something's wrong or get in a fight or something's bad, it's just like, yeah, I should just do this.
Yeah.
Like I'm not worth anything. But then
in this hypothetical, everybody having immediate access to a firearm, how many people are just going to, call to the abyss and go forward with it? Yeah, no,
right. I feel like that would be a bigger thing.
Yeah. Isolation would be your worst enemy.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody too.
Yeah. I think people would be, that would be if people are already there, like they're going to do it.
Yeah.
If it's like, oh, sweet, here's my access to this.
Yeah. If you're in such dire straits that you've crossed that threshold.
Because some people can't afford guns or they can't get them because of whatever hurdle they've had, whatever law or whatever is preventing them from getting a gun.
Yeah.
Now they have it and they're like, oh, hey, I can do it now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
unfortunately. Yeah. I mean,
so it's all about regulating and making sure that guns go into the hands of people who can't harm themselves and others. But how do you do that?
I mean, like you said, it's all on a good faith system. They ask you when you fill out paperwork for guns. I got asked today, are you a threat to yourself or others?
Yeah.
And they just take your at your word.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something they legally have to ask you. But I mean, is there any proof of that? Like they don't.
Yeah.
There's,
I mean,
there's
like
no way you're trusting somebody.
Yeah. And then there's a lot of situations like that. Just any seemingly normal person, they go and get a firearm and then they use it for bad.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean,
you go through all the right channels. If you're just going to be nefarious without any warning signs, without any kind of rhetoric or rhyme or reason, not that there's a reason for violence, but it's hard to come up on the radar for that. So like when you say talking about like regulating that, like mental health evaluations, but is that even more an infringement on your right to bear arms? Or is that something that should be done?
I think that goes into being a well-regulated militia. That same part of that amendment.
That's true. Yeah. Only if people of sound mind should be able to own firearms.
And in that statement, objectively, yes, but subjectively, who's to determine who's of a sound mind?
Yeah, somebody else is going to dictate what your brain should be thinking.
Exactly.
That's kind of rough.
And that's why we're doing this episode is just to try and talk out all of these points.
Yeah, because like you could be a completely normal person and then just have like a manic episode of something.
Just have a bad day.
Have a bad day.
Or be under the influence of something.
That was
how many people have like harmed themselves or others because they were drunk and playing with a gun?
Yeah.
That was one of the things that I was thinking about earlier. We never touched on it, but like, does this change your ability to have a firearm and like go to a bar or something like that? Do you have to check in your guns when you're at a bar? Do you have to not have guns when you're at a bar? If everyone's armed, are there still zones where you can't have guns?
Well, yeah, you can't
like the RNC.
You can't have you can't bring in firearms to like
populated areas.
Schools, courthouses, and a couple other places you're not allowed to bring firearms into.
And you can't drink too. If you had a CCW, you can't drink.
What's a CCW?
A concealed concealed carry permit.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't concealed carry weapons permit.
couldn't do that.
You can't.
Oh, so you can't consume alcohol and have that on you because you're liable.
If you can consume alcohol, just you can't have your gun.
Yeah.
Well, you can't be carrying
makes
it
sense.
while
Cuts out a
enjoying
large part of the Midwest.
That actually,
Yeah, you can't be caught with that.
Okay.
If you are, then you're in big trouble.
Yeah, but also you're not supposed to use
Drink and
marijuana or any other quote unquote illicit drugs and be able to purchase a firearm. That's what they got Hunter Biden on.
Yes.
Is this arbitrary rule that only applies to some people sometimes.
Yes. Yep. It's like
got his ass.
Yeah.
Dude.
It's one of those things. It's like a lot of people are using doing that, and
that have access to guns.
I personally know several people who use marijuana and have guns.
Yeah. Well, it's.
I'm not going to call them out by names.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Or by eyesight.
Oh,
that would be
what
rude. Yeah. Oh God, it's dark in here.
Oh yeah. Okay. But yeah, I mean, that's tough. That's a tough question or tough.
It's hard to fit everything into one box for everyone to fit in. Everyone's so different in how their mindset is, their circumstances.
We're all individuals.
I don't think
for you to be regulated like that. There's certain things I think you could regulate. I mean, a psych eval maybe or something like that. But even then, we got hung up already on like how is that checked?
Who's to determine?
Yeah. What if someone
how is there a standard of stuff and they determine it
life.
just to somehow this excludes a group?
Yeah,
and then
it's hard.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Does somebody with Down syndrome, are they not allowed to have a gun? Because they have Down syndrome, they are functioning members of society. They hold jobs. They can have apartments. They can have children. But
everybody gets a gun, Corey.
Oh, right. I forgot. That's this part of the episode.
Everybody. Yeah. I mean, even. Yeah.
But I really like that's the question
right?
I'm asking is like who's determining whether or not you're of the right mindset. Here's something that upset me when I was in Oregon. It was the last round of voting that I actually participated on, which was one of the props was about gun regulation.
Mm-hmm.
It was I think ending high capacity magazines and expanding background checks. And part of that background check expansion was every time you went and purchased a firearm, that shop would have to send your information to the local sheriff's office. And the sheriffs were the one who get to approve every individual whether or not they can have a firearm.
Jeez.
And that is more frightening to me than anything else.
Yeah, because they probably don't have to give you a reason. They're just like, nope. We've reviewed your thing. You don't
specifically,
have to say.
they don't have to say. They just yes or no, and their reason is their own. And we know for a fact this disproportionately affects people of color.
I think that got booted out, right?
It got sent to the courts. I don't know if I got overturned. I haven't checked on it since I moved away.
Yeah,
but I think
I do remember
that
coming up.
I feel like it did because I know the high caps are back.
That was
you
like
can buy those.
Yeah, that was like the whole thing about who the sheriff could give you the permit to buy a gun.
Yeah,
that was like, what the hell?
Yeah,
like,
and not only that, you had to pay for it out of your own pocket.
Yeah.
It was another poor tax.
Well, that's similar to here, not to just be able to have a gun, but like take that a step further for CCWs, the concealed carry.
Right.
They determine it on a moral ground.
Yeah,
now,
and that's what
whether you have reason to do it. It's not even if you have to have a reason. They have the choice of saying,
yeah,
no, you don't seem like the right kind of person to have this.
That's
good enough.
That's what the Supreme Court case was at the New York Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin.
Yeah.
That came up because it was super ridiculously hard to get a CCW just to carry your handgun in New York, in the state of New York. Like you had to have a good reason. So it's like, and I guess, one of the examples that was brought up, I was watching this because it affects everybody in the country.
Once one votes one way, then it supersedes for another.
And then there was some follow-up laws that came up here in California. And but go back to that case, there was a one of the not the prosecutor, the defendants, which was the state, was not defendant. It's like the plaintiff and
The defendant.
Is it
So
the
the
defendant?
plaintiff
Yeah.
is the one that's on the offensive.
That's right.
against
That's
someone.
right. Yeah. Okay. And then the defendant was the state, but they came up one of the scenarios one of the judges gave the state was like if, and I could be misremembering this, but I remember it was like what if a woman who worked in like the Bronx downtown in a bad area, worked a late shift, had to come home and cross. She didn't drive. She had to come home and cross a lot of like shady areas just to get to the subway to get home.
Yeah.
And it's like late at night, midnight, 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Does she have, and she goes to a rough neighborhood.
Does she have a right?
Does she have a right to carry a firearm? And the state said no.
Right.
So that right there is like, well, why? Because that's not a good enough reason. They're not like carrying jewelry, like transporting jewelry,
You
transporting
don't need to have
money.
jewelry for someone to want to hurt you.
Yeah.
That's what the plaintiffs were like. That, and I think that judge was trying to like give that scenario, and the state was just like, no. And it's like, come on,
That's ridiculous.
And again, like these things are arbitrary.
Yeah.
You're determining which individual on a case by case
Yes.
basis makes the cut that day.
Exactly. Yeah. And and I think in that set with Bruin, that case ending, and the Supreme Court said, no, you can't do that. You can't have a merit system like that. It has to be, it can't be like, oh, it's because I am a jeweler or I drive an armored truck. I mean, granted, those all you should have protection.
sure,
You're in a high profile thing.
Right.
But to say like something like that, you can't legally carry a handgun on your person for defense, for self protection.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous. But and that set up like, so now that things are a little bit easier, but it's still harder because like states like in California, they've made it so you can't have in response. And I think even the LA Times came out with a report on it that it was more of like a reaction to what the Supreme Court's decision was. And it was like, you can't carry a gun within 1,000 feet of this state parks, playgrounds, schools. And it's like, and then businesses have to allow you to have a firearm. They have to have a sign posted if you can or can't bring firearms in. And so like at one point it's like, well, I can walk out my house and go back inside.
Right.
And that's it. It's like, but
Yeah.
like they brought up I wish I could find the LA Times article because it mentioned like a grandmother, person of color, who had she likes to play with her grandchildren at the park. She's a U.S. Army vet. She can't go to the park, a public park, with her kids with her concealed carry permit now.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, now I'm all by myself. You know, it's I don't know. It's just like game playing with this kind of stuff, these legislations and things like that. But, and I get it. Like, but the real thing is that they don't trust the people who have the CCWs. And it's like, you go through a lot of vetting. Process. You have to pay for it. You have to send in you
have to renew.
You have to renew. You have to get screened by like a panel of sheriffs and stuff, or your local, or whatever city or district you live in.
Right.
I think in Ventura County, the sheriffs do an interview on you and then they say yay or nay. But like, you go through all this stuff to prove you're a good citizen.
And then they look at you like you're the criminal.
They look at you like you're a criminal. It's
what
like,
are you going to do? You're going to do something nefarious. Why would I go through all this?
Yeah, that sucks.
To cause myself issue.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so interesting.
I'm going to go through all this just to do a crime.
Mess it up. Yeah.
I think you're speaking to a lot of points here that are really important. One would being regulation, and two being the multi-tiered justice system that we currently have.
Yeah.
Like I want to make a point that I'll stand behind. None of these rules matter if you have enough money. At all.
Dude.
Oh, that's
Donald Trump, convicted felon. Donald Trump, not legally allowed to own firearms, owns firearms.
And I wonder too, that was the other thing, like, because if you're convicted, whether it's felony or not, I think you're not allowed to have guns.
Yeah, you're not.
Yeah, I don't believe felons are allowed to have any firearm.
You lose your right immediately.
Yeah. Now I'm wondering, like, because like what, there's people out there that get, the justice system is not perfect. People get wrongly accused of things or wrongly convicted of things, and then it's like, and then it's like. Yeah. Then now that person's like lost everything. Like
lost one of their core rights.
Yeah. And I wonder too, like if it's a non-violent crime, non-violent offense or felony.
Yes.
But you're a felon. It doesn't matter. It's an
Yeah.
overarching label.
No, he's
That's
saying-
right.
Which
Yeah.
again, it's a multi-tiered system.
Right.
It doesn't.
Or
It doesn't work like.
I think if it's something like, well, definitely if you get wrongly convicted and then like you figure that you go back and it's like, you're found innocent or whatever.
Right.
Like
You're
that should
released.
reinstate everything, which I think it does.
It should.
Yeah, but how much
I
money
wouldn't
do you
be
have to
surprised.
do to? I
Right?
mean, lawyers aren't cheap.
Right.
You know,
You go into
hundreds of
debt.
dollars an hour
Right.
to do these cases that are multiple days.
Yeah.
Yeah, you rack up the
it
bill.
just, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. That just kills your, that just drains you there.
Yeah. But you know what doesn't drain you?
What's that?
This ad.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you're donating to our Patreon, in which case, thanks for being drained.
Thanks.
We'll drain you.
Not by much, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a tad.
Just a dog.
Hello there, my name is Cale Miller, creator and host of the Weekly Tall Talk. I would like to say thank you for listening to today's episode. If you like what you've been hearing, we would love to know what you think. After the episode, don't forget to leave a comment or reach out to us on our socials, where you can find us at the Weekly Tall Talk. We're excited to say that we're working on a couple other awesome projects for this year. If you would like to know more about that, or to find out what else we've been working on, we have a Patreon and Discord that you can subscribe to, where we can be found at Tall Tale Network. If you have any other questions or ideas of what you'd like us to discuss on the show, please email us at talltalenetwork@gmail.com.
And welcome back from those ads. Do you guys feel drained?
Every day of my life. Yeah, it's a problem that I'm willing to say is a problem,
Uh-huh.
but I am not willing to address it.
Oh, okay. So it's just out there.
Oh
But-
yeah.
okay.
Oh yeah. It's an issue. Ooh, it's an issue. Wow.
I feel good.
Good. Corey?
The show is the only thing I have left. This and my car and my dog.
Nah.
No.
Well, sorry, speaking of the show, we got that to do.
That's right. Yeah. So we've gone through a lot here, going back and forth, talking about our extreme examples of de-arming the entire world, de-arming our country, and then rearming everybody.
Yeah.
But then more on like a normal, not a normal sense, but like on a tie down to today. How do you think we can regulate? How can we continue to regulate firearms in America?
Can
Now
I?
We're reaching it down just to us in this country.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I kind of want to flip this a little bit. I know you're the host, but I would really love to hear your opinion first on this.
Sure. Oh, me?
Yes,
The
sir.
first thing
Yeah.
is to take out all three heads of
Yeah.
the government.
Well, because no, you've owned firearms the longest out of anyone in our friend group, and you have more knowledge and experience with them. So I'm interested in your thoughts on regulation in America.
I think, I wish, I don't know a ton about the different laws in different states. I just really focused on laws in this state and other things actually, that's not true. I have watched a lot of stuff and listened in on different cases and stuff that are happening around the country.
Yeah.
Different.
That's what I do on YouTube.
Yeah, there's different things happening all over the place, and a lot of times when these cases or these things about bans, magazine bans, AR bans,
Silencers.
yeah, and it's like you when decisions are made, it can affect. But when it goes up to the Supreme Court, that definitely affects how other states have to abide by the rulings, and. To the question of how do you regulate firearms in America, I think the regulation that's already done. I mean, there's already tons of laws countrywide already and federally. There's federal laws, state laws. I don't know how you can go and regulate more, other than maybe like because I'm so used to having our stuff regulated heavily here.
Yeah.
It's like
We've only known that.
We've only known that. So when you pop over to like Arizona, like there's no such thing as a fixed magazine or a AR or a featureless AR. It's just an AR. That's it. And the funny thing is, it's like when you look at our laws here, a featureless AR is an AR-15 that has a fin grip, a fixed stock, and a muzzle device. That's it. It does the same thing. It shoots the same, but it's got a goofy grip.
Yeah.
And essentially it just makes it more cumbersome for the user to use.
Right.
Like it's not intended to be like that. Like if guns were made like that, it'd be just be made like that. Whereas like, you know, I don't think that honestly will stop crime, because a person who's going to do something bad is not going to follow the dang rules. Like, why would they? That's stupid. They wouldn't put a fin grip on their AR to go shoot a mass shooting.
Right.
They would just have a normal gun and do it. And then that'd be more talks of like trying to ban the gun itself. But I don't know if we can regulate more without like really starting to like get rid of guns. Like I don't think there's a way you could say this feature or this characteristic or this looks weird and this looks dangerous. There's all these laws that people are that these legislators are making. A lot of them, they don't know anything. They don't know what this gun does.
Yeah.
Like there's so many clips out there on the internet about like these senators and congresswomen and men saying the most absurd things about firearms. It's like
no clue.
Spraying like
on both sides, by the way.
Yeah, it's just the most absurd
totally
stuff.
Detached.
Yeah.
It's like you don't know what that does. And the same thing with the assault weapon. That was a term derived to scare people.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as assault weapon. My fist could be an assault weapon. My foot,
they are.
My
It's true. They are registered.
My phone, if I throw it at you, it's an assault weapon.
Yeah.
Like anything you assault somebody with is a weapon.
Yeah.
So it's a term to scare people. People who are uneducated and people who do not care or are afraid of firearms. It's a scare tactic. It's disingenuous. Like I think, and it puts a boogeyman behind all of it. And not going to sugarcoat anything. People do horrible thing and they will use whatever means to do horrible said act.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would. I just don't know if you can get rid of that kind of evil in the world. Like, because people are, not saying everybody's evil, but there's, there's just bad actors that are going to take advantage. But yeah, I honestly, I don't know. I don't know how you can regulate more without just starting to take away guns.
Can I list a few things that I would love some pushback on?
Yeah,
and even you at home, if you're still listening, thank you first of all.
Yeah,
but
this is a long one.
Yeah, this is the part of the discussion that I'm actually looking for as much feedback on, because I'll present my ideas and that's what they are. One of the points you talked on is banning features of a gun or attachments of a gun,
right? Yeah,
which don't make any fucking sense. The bump stock is one of the only things that I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe ban that one, because I don't think any, harsh opinion, I don't think anybody should have access to an automatic firearm in this country.
That's my one.
I get if you're doing the CCW, if you're registering this, you're paying $10,000 for an automatic firearm, you're probably not going to commit a crime with it.
Yeah, exactly.
If you jump through that many hoops.
There's a reverence and a respect for what you're doing, and you're going through the proper channels. But to have these attachment bans, like you have a muzzle brake, but you can't replace it with a compensator.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. You can't put a flash hider on an AR because it makes it deadlier than a muzzle brake. Like that's what you're saying. Like where I think regulation lies is in re-evaluating the language we use to describe firearms, their purpose, and what makes a firearm. I was reading through the NRA, that what is it called? NRA?
Oh, there's
the NFA. Excuse me.
Oh, the NFA,
the National Firearms Act.
Association.
That's the overarching regulatory body for our firearms.
Yeah.
The handbook is online. I was reading it. It's free if you want to just type in NFA handbook.
Yeah.
And it tells you in some specific language what a rifle is and things like that, but it contradicts itself constantly. And when this gun regulation rule was enacted in 1936, it was I think it was enacted in 34 and then immediately retconned in 36 because the government gave out a bunch of rifles to the NRA members. And
I think they took pistols off of it too.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, pistols off.
But in any case, this document that regulates our firearms doesn't make any sense because of how it describes what a pistol is, what a carbine is, what a short barreled rifle is. And all of these terms just don't make sense. A short barreled rifle shooting a 5.56 or a .223 caliber bullet is going to do the same amount of damage as a full length rifle. Yeah. Unless you are 900 meters out, that bullet is going to hit you and go through your body. Yeah. And it doesn't make sense to say, well, because this barrel's a 9-inch, that makes you an absolute felon. It's a 10-year mandatory prison sentence and you owe $250,000 as a fine. It doesn't, but you can bypass that by giving the government $200. It doesn't make sense.
It makes total sense.
Yeah. The same
$200 for us.
Yeah, that tax stamp.
Same thing with the suppressors. These are poor taxes.
Yeah,
and it's a way to regulate poor people from accessing firearms.
That's what a lot of gun control is it
limiting people's ability to afford and to purchase guns.
And the reason why it's $200 is because that's how much it was to buy a Thompson submachine gun back then.
Back in 1934.
We'll just keep it the same.
I mean, that'd be cool.
You could buy them in Sears catalog.
Yeah,
like literally just mail in and get an automatic.
They just mail it to your door. And I was like, wow.
There's a bunch of stupid stuff that they have regulation on, but the silencers is by far the dumbest
That's
thing.
the dumbest fucking shit.
That's
Everybody watches too many movies. They see the John Wick train station shootout.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
And they think we're going to be spray firing. I don't think anybody who's going to be nefarious is going to be like, you know what, guys, I don't want to draw attention to myself.
Yeah, I'm going to bring
They were going to do terrible shit. I don't think they're going to be like,
and somebody's going to go through the length. Like, because where I'm understanding the government headspace is they don't want assassination attempts on government official bodies. So they take away. So they try and quote unquote make it harder for that to happen. But if you can get a gun, you can do it.
You can still do it.
You can still do it. And here's the other thing. You don't just need a gun. You can do it with anything.
Yeah.
You can hurt anyone, just like you're saying. Anything in his assault weapon if you use a weapon to assault somebody.
Put your phone down. Yeah. Hey, put your phone down.
Right, yeah.
So having banning muzzle attachments, banning different sights or the stock is fixed, which makes this legal. Yeah. But if you take off the stock, that gun, it's now illegal.
Yeah, it's illegal.
That's where
straight to jail.
Go back into this long tangent. The regulation needs to come in rewording of all of this from people who understand what firearms do.
Yeah.
And how to mitigate things like mass shooting events. I think Australia is a really great example of this. If we're going to give up any firearms for any reason, it would be to follow that model of giving up anything but a bolt action or a shotgun or a handgun with a 10-round mag cap. If you're going to get a gun and hurt somebody with it, you're going to do it. I agree with that. True, but if you make it much harder for anyone to get even a semi-automatic rifle, you're going to prevent a lot more hurt. Even if that person acquires it in a dastardly way, it's going to be way less people doing that than somebody who can access a firearm with a 10-day waiting period and a small background check.
Do we keep the lever actions?
We keep the lever actions.
That's all I care about. Honestly, a huge part of this is why they did the magazine limits for over here is a huge part of, I like Westerns. I like the look of lever actions. I've always been a fan, but a huge thing of that is if we have a 10-round clip for a $2,000, $2,500 thing, and I can load 8+1 in a lever and not have this, well, obviously the speed's going to be much greater with an AR, but I don't see the point. If I could get an AR with a 30-round mag, I would opt for that. For sure. But I don't see a 10-round mag being that much more of a thing for me to pay another $1,500 plus whatever they make you do to the rifle. It just doesn't make sense to me, like monetary wise.
I know that was my
another
thinking.
factor of my purchases.
Yeah,
have all been lever actions.
No, it's funny you say that because I thought the same thing when I was. I never thought I would purchase a firearm in this state. Well, I take that back.
You're going to purchase them in another state and then bring them into California.
No, I never thought I would purchase a rifle or an AR in this state, just because of all the laws and stuff that are on the books for that type of firearm.
Yeah.
And to go and, but at the time when I was like, I really wanted to get one, wanted to try one, shoot one. So I did, and I bought it, and I was okay with doing the 10 rounds. I mean, it sucks, but at the same time, it's like, it's stupid because it's like I can have as many 10 round magazines and I just keep reloading. Yeah. And the whole idea was, I guess, behind the limiting of that is to stop a evildoer from reloading faster. Or having much to shoot, but they could just sit there and reload.
So then,
but they can just also they can get 30 round magazines.
But devil's advocate here. So in this scenario, you can only do 10 rounds per magazine.
Yeah.
That does slow the shooter, right?
Sure.
Now sorry, it's multi-part. To further this, if you just got rid of semi-automatics to begin with, everything was single action or bolt action, that would further alleviate the amount of, you couldn't get as many bullets downrange. So is that not a form of prevention? And I ask that as an open question.
I would be against that because I would want to have something similar to what the police use and what the government uses. Because if they go rogue, I don't want to be outgunned. Even though I would be outgunned if there was a whole horde of military, whatever. But in the same time, it's like, if that's the case, like the world's over.
Wrap it up anyway.
Yeah,
if there was a military coup, we're never going to have access to that kind of weaponry, that kind of tactical gear, that kind of anything. If they really wanted to put the hammer down, it would happen. But I agree with you. Having some means to defend yourself to an extent where you could really have punchback would be a case in that scenario. But if you were to say, we're going to regulate it, bolt action, single action, blah, 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 obviously that makes a drastic difference and you're not going to have it. But then,
I would
like
want
you said, you're
police to be like that too.
If the police did the same thing where they only used either revolvers or a bolt action or whatever, then you could feel like that. If they come out with a semi-auto and
because that's how, again, that's how the police departments have evolved and escalated in their arms is because of encounters they've had over the years, like the Miami-Dade shooting.
They were underpowered.
And these guys had automatic pistols and stuff and rifles. And it's like, now we got to match that. So if they're always, the police and the police are always trying to catch up to the criminals or to the times, and now they're at that moment, unless we start getting like laser guns and shit.
Sure, but I mean,
that's my wife.
That's part of the cycle, right? It's a perpetual arms race,
right? It's escalation that keeps going. So
how do we regulate this?
I think we're at a moment in time where we're not seeing anything
new.
Like there's nothing. Police are armed with semi-automatics. They have rifles. They have combat gear. They're pretty much militarized.
They are the military in this country. This town has several APCs.
Yeah,
for what?
Yeah, they're pretty much already military
grade.
Yes. So they have
special ops,
and they have fully automatic rifles.
Yeah, so they're already set in that. I think they're only probably going to keep moving up with our military as technology and arms advance.
They buy all the surplus.
Right, exactly. So I think they're only going to keep following that up. But I think we're at a stopping point where we are now, just in our lifetimes. Who knows what's going to come in the next 30, 40 years?
Sure.
What technology is going to bring, like what's new tech, things like that. But I think I wouldn't want to be limited to just bolt actions and shotguns. I mean, I love those badass. They rule.
Oh yeah.
But I would want to be able to not have the same, like, I myself would never be able to own an fully automatic gun.
No.
But I want to be able to have something that is comparable to what the police have, not to the extent of full, like, I mean, I could go out and get like a cool helmet, night vision. I'm not made out of money. That's like 10 plus G's just for that kind of stuff.
This is another thing of regulating people with the price of things. That's what we harbored back to before.
Yeah.
You want to buy a thing. Like I said, it was crazy. I spent The most expensive gun I got is the one I just got. It was $1,500 after the tax hike and after everything. The heavier ARs there, $4,000, $5,000 for like fully kitted stuff. You can get stuff for $2-3 grand. But who has that kind of disposable income to just do that or have it often enough to where you're keeping up with the times?
Yeah, I wouldn't say just your average everyday person would. Definitely people with money could,
they could be
it on that.
But I mean, you can get an AR for $400 right now.
Absolutely. That's what I think is good for people who don't have a lot of money and people that can't afford to buy the super Gucci, like souped up AR,
the tactical
stuff. But at least they can get a rifle that's reliable and that they know they can defend their family, their home.
So
that's the whole idea.
I don't think I would ever defend my home with a rifle. If there's an intruder, might not be the best. But
what else do you want?
Either a shotgun or a pistol. Maybe not a rifle. That's a very strong caliber. But that's not the point I'm going to get to. Is again, what do we do as a country to regulate ourselves? It can't. I want to push you guys for some clear answers too, just for the sake of the show. Get rid of semi-automatics. Rifles. Just get rid of them.
That was a stepping point for me. I was cool with not having full autos because they're never going to give us full autos.
No,
you can buy a full auto now, though.
In other states other than here.
Yeah, other than here.
Yeah,
you can't get any
do like
NFA items here.
sacks of like bringing them in and stuff like that.
In the majority of this country, you can get a fully automatic rifle.
Yes, you can. Yeah, you can go through the paperwork and go through the ATF. And
it's a $200 tax.
And then there's a lot of the same thing with getting suppressors. It's all through the National Firearms Act.
Yes.
You could submit if you're, I mean, the mission, like, I don't know. I haven't really looked at how much machine guns cost. I just know that they're not attainable by your average human being.
Machine guns start at like $8,000 for like carbines.
Yeah.
Like you want a fully automatic like M16 or something, that's going to be $10,000 to $20,000 for the gun.
Even circling back to getting rid of semi-automatics, I think we are outgunned as it is. If you take semi-auto big rifles away, I think the potential for being stomped on is worse.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm trying to get at here is what I'm hearing is you want to arm yourself in case the government attacks you, in case a police force attacks you.
Yeah.
How many people have shot at an officer, even if the officer's in the wrong, and that person has been okay? That person is either not in jail or not murdered in their home.
I'll explain this
so what
another
right
scenario.
do you have?
I'll say this in another way. I would want it for civil unrest or a state of emergency type of scenario.
Absolutely.
Where I would like to be able to have a thing that I could protect my home from people trying to get my stuff. I would say more so in that scenario. In kind of like in times of disarray, in times of martial law, more of that is, I think, a more realistic option of what would happen versus like the police are like, that's it, we're taking over. I think that's possible.
Yeah,
I would like it to ward off people trying to come in my home. If you're going to trespass and come for me, I want to stop you.
Yes. Yeah.
But again, like what I'm hearing and what I'm responding to is the idea that you're preparing for an apocalyptic event where you're going to give up your life in a gunfight defending whatever you have from whoever is trying to actively get what you have or harm you.
It would be,
and in that scenario, are we willing to let mass shootings happen? Are we willing to let everything else in this country that is currently happen and continue to happen in favor of not regulating these things and not saying or not taking the extra steps to say we need to de-arm us?
But I think that's that's too hard because you're putting too much of the world on the one individual's shoulders. Like they're out looking for their families, not for the whole greater wide of the country.
I think,
but you can still own firearms with what I'm saying. You get a breech or bolt action rifle or
that
shotgun.
Still wouldn't stop mass shootings. That still wouldn't stop mass shootings.
Right, but mass shootings would happen way less.
I don't think so. I think people would still commit crimes and they would still kill each other. Doesn't matter what they're using. If they have the tool, they will use it.
So
And mass shooting federally, I looked it up, by the FBI standards, is involving 2 or more people. 1 to 2 people. That's it.
that doesn't. I hear what you're saying. I don't ascribe to that for mass shootings. I
That's the
personally believe it's
FBI's
4 or more.
It says,
I've heard it all over the place.
yeah,
But I will push back on what you're saying, because I'm interested in your response to this. Using Australia again as an example, they did exactly what we're saying. They took the guns away from their people, and they haven't had a mass shooting event happen since they did that, because they did it in response to a mass shooting event.
My question about this is Australia in terms of the amount of people over there versus the amount of people you're disarming in this country. Is it like proportionally we have way more people, right?
Oh, dude. I mean, America's had more firearms than people forever.
it's written in our
That's what I'm
Constitution.
saying. In terms of that, you're saying, oh, we'll take the guns and we'll do this, and there's less likelihood of this. There's still going to be, I think, potentially less, but there's still so many more people here that mass shootings are still going to occur regardless. Even with bolt action,
don't try any regulation.
I'm not saying that. I'm just what you brought up earlier, and this is still keeping semi-autos, right?
Mhm.
We're saying ban high capacity clips, ban the 30s. He has 20 of those, and he's up in a tower, and he has full body armor. He's going to be ripping through stuff and just switching out the mag. I mean, that type of stuff. But you're saying get rid of semi-autos, that eliminates that, right? So
that would be outright. You wouldn't even have access to that AR unless you illegally obtained it. And again, the people illegally obtaining a rifle for the purposes of mass violence are pretty few and far between.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know if that would solve anything, because it all comes down to it's the difference between America and Australia is that America, it's in our Constitution to have the right to bear arms.
Mm-hmm. Our Constitution also says that it should be changed every 12 years, but we don't follow that. Our Constitution also allows slavery as long as you're a prisoner. There are things that need to be changed, and that's where I was coming from is the wordage needs to be assessed. We need to figure out what a firearm is and address it accordingly.
Yeah. And that's, that would be nice. It's just that there's a lot of how can you trust, who can you vet to do that? To evaluate that without having someone, because everybody has their own optical opinion on things.
That's the whole thing.
They can interpret it however they want to interpret it.
You asked the weekly Tall Talk.
Oh, we have all the answers. I think it's just
all the answers. That's why we're doing this show.
Even if you gave everybody the option to say, hey, everybody who's sitting in government right now, we're restructuring the Constitution. This is the time. You would never get it bipartisan enough to where anybody would agree on anything. I don't think it's possible. With how widely spread we are and how visceral everything is, I don't think even if you wanted to do it, you could do it. And that's a shame. I think it's gross how it is, but I also think that there's right in the right lighting. Both sides think they're right.
So then how do we regulate firearms in this country?
I think
you would have to go door to door, and you would incite way more violence from people being paranoid about you taking their guns and having those acts happen. You would cause more. I don't know if there would be more acts of violence trying to take away guns than to regulate guns.
I think there would be. I think that would be insane if that was something
that would be a regulation. But we already have acts of violence. We already have mass shootings.
That wouldn't be.
We have more mass shootings than we do days in a year.
But that wouldn't be a regulation. Like the going door to door to what would they go to door to door?
I mean, if he's saying like take your semis, take your
equivalently exchange money for gun. That's what the government's doing.
They would slam the door in their face.
Some would.
Some might.
Some might do it voluntarily. If you were to propose that, some people would take the money.
Right.
And
I'm not saying that nobody would.
Wouldn't that be a step in a number of getting rid of guns over a decade or 2 decade long period?
And honestly, I think, with gun buybacks that are now, it's a waste. It's a waste of time and money.
Near the amount of money that you would be needed.
Well, no. I'm saying it's like the gun buybacks now. People just bring old broken shit and then they give it to the police departments and they give them money for it.
It's one less gun.
But it's broken.
Sure.
It doesn't do anything.
But
so it's a piece of metal. It's like, it's useless. So it doesn't actually solve any crimes. It's just wasting taxpayer dollars by having police officers not actually doing their job and sitting around waiting for you to turn in trash. That's my opinion on it.
I could see that.
Because people abuse it. Like somebody in Sacramento, like just 3D printed a bunch of shit and gave it to them.
Yeah.
And it was like, it wasn't even stuff that was working. And they gave them like a bunch of gift cards.
But for the few people that do make headlines doing these things, there are honest people who are giving away guns that they don't want anymore.
Sure. I could see that.
Yeah,
so again,
I watched it.
Why stop for the minority of people doing the thing in the wrong when the majority are trying to do the right?
But I don't think there was a majority though. That's the thing. There's no majority trying to do that when it's just a small few they're doing it. Whereas that's not majority. And I watched a video of somebody there was a gun buyback in Texas, and people, not the police officers, were going around to the cars asking to buy their guns, and they would sell them their guns. So the police sergeant didn't get guns; these people did. They just walked off with them.
Start buying them on the way.
That doesn't say that doesn't prove that gun buybacks don't work. That just means in that instance that it was fucked from the beginning.
I think
the foundation of it was incorrect.
I've only seen articles where it's been like useless. Like the people, I mean, they catch on. The police department's like, hey, no more 3D printed parts. It has to be an actual gun. Like you can't just turn in like a block, like a lower piece that doesn't do anything.
So then wouldn't that rhetoric be part of what we're trying to build on for regulation? With the things that we know don't work, don't incorporate them, and do the things that we know do work. Don't accept 3D printed guns.
Don't accept firearms that aren't in working condition.
Exactly.
Right. You could. I mean, if you're willing to part with your stuff and get some money, I think that this should be an available option for you.
Absolutely. And that's where I'm coming from. Is we start at that foundation.
Yeah.
Not the past. We're trying to figure out from now on going forward.
Here's the thing.
Because I mean,
as long as you don't force people to do it, that's fine.
No,
if it's just
if you don't say
voluntary thing, realistically, you could never. I 100% agree with you. Going to get door to door, it would never work. But that's why I'm saying over a decade or multi-decade long period, you're taking time to get doing the right thing. Yeah. And if the gun buyback last month was fucked because this, and this, then account for that going forward.
I think
you can't call the whole thing a wash because sometimes it doesn't work out.
I also think that there's the opportunity that a lot more guns are going out of circulation also because people don't, a lot of people are adverse to guns, don't want anything to do with them, are fearful, or this or that. People who are gun collectors or people who have firearms before, they pass away, they go to their kids, I don't want this shit. They take them to the police station.
Yeah.
I think that happens more. I think that's going to be happening more and more because I don't know I know more people bought guns than ever because of COVID and all the stuff that happened. So gun sales went crazy. So it's not like guns are fading out.
No.
But I think the old ways as time goes along, maybe older people who are more diehard in their views of having guns will go away. And then there'll be I think there's too many guns to really make a difference. There's not going to be like this overwhelming thing of like, oh, the guns are all bad and we're going to get rid of them.
That's the thing.
I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't. Yeah, that's my pushback on those buyback things. It's not going to make any impact because there are so many guns in this country. Like whether they're usable or not usable, I think it's a good thing to allow an outlet for people to just get rid of guns they don't want. Or if they're not into shooting anymore, they're done with it, or if they can't use it because of injuries, whatever, they want to get rid of it, that's perfectly fine. Because now they're either giving it to the police department to destroy, or they're selling it to somebody else who will use it because they enjoy that firearm. Whatever, that's good. I think that I just that's my only gripe. I mean, I'd love to see statistics. Maybe I should look that up to see if there is any correlation with reducing gun violence and gun buybacks.
I did a cursory search beforehand, and a lot of the data that came up within the first 10 to 20 searches were by less reputable sources. The RAND organization is the only one that I would, or the RAND or the Cato Institute. I would like kind of maybe trust a little bit more, but not so much because those surveys and statistics are typically done by a political like
That's what you want to get
people.
rid of. Like,
Politics and guns.
I don't want to lean on it. I just want to know the straight facts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't.
so difficult.
But to be unbiased in journalism is a really hard thing to achieve for people when it's something this political.
It is because it's something that's close to the individual.
Yeah.
Like it's how they feel, how they think. And it is hard to break some biases out of there. And, sometimes biases leak into things like if they don't mean it to be, but it's like,
it's taxpayer money, but also if you did a government funded program and you drastically overpay people for their guns, a lot of people will give up guns. I really do think
so
if they said, Xavier, we'll give you 5,000 per AR.
Whew.
You get 20K and they take 4 semi-autos off not the streets, but they say, oh, this is now removed or this is now in containment, blah, 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 blah. Would you be willing to part for your stuff if you were drastically compensated for it? That's a different story. I think way more people who have fallen on hard times or need the money or want the money would take that deal.
Yeah, you know what?
That would be an incentive.
That would be, especially for people, like you said, in that scenario, if they needed that cash and they're like, hey, I don't use this damn thing.
Or you sell 2 of them.
Yeah.
That's 2 less.
I could see that scenario working. It's kind of like, it's like you're using my tax dollars to buy back my guns that I spent money on and other people's.
Right.
So, and let's stop right there.
No,
because
stop right there.
That's another point to build on.
Mm-hmm.
If we know that is one of the things that is keeping this from being a success, then accept that and incorporate that into your strategy.
Like say it's government funded instead, or like a government expense versus
if this
not
buyback
taxpayers.
is in perpetuity for the next, well, I think that means forever. If this gun buyback it runs for 20 years, you get twice the amount of money for a perfect condition gun than what you paid for,
and
so we can get it off the street.
Would it be any gun?
Any gun in perfect condition or whatever, you get twice the money. If it's in worn or whatever, like, a varying price. But no matter what, you're always going to make a profit off of this gun. Would that not be one of the first steps? Because again, we're setting this up at a foundational level. This taxpayer money that we're talking about, well, we know who has all of the money and who doesn't pay their taxes.
Billionaires, brother.
If we correctly got our fair share of taxes back from the people who don't deserve to have the riches that they do and use that to fund this type of
that would be nice
program, would that be something that would convince you, Xavier?
It's not coming out of your pocket or your taxes. I don't know why I'm pointing at you so much.
It's taxpayer money, technically, and you are right about that.
If they want to try it, sure. I mean, they're not going to dissuade me.
You would not part for it with double your money.
Actually, I would part with one gun.
Yeah, so I mean that's a starting
one
point.
that I don't like, and if I could get double for what I paid for it, sure.
And that's
what
the first step.
saying is that's the first step. He's saying let's lay the ground foundation. That's one. That would be a win-win.
Yeah.
In that scenario,
I just don't. I wouldn't want it to be focused on ARs or rifles because the majority of shootings that are done in the country are pistols.
Yes,
I could do without pistols. To be honest with you, I really could.
I mean,
I could give or take them.
I like my gun. I only have one pistol. You have multiple, but I could do with pistols being out and then having having rifles and shotguns as a thing. I could be like you said. It's like disproportionately pistols.
Yes,
it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, I could do that. I know
because
you're a pistol fan,
but if you look at it, it's because pistols are cheaper. They're easier to conceal.
Yeah, you could just put in your hoodie and you're out.
You just put stuff in your pocket and go out. And
more crimes are committed with pistols than are rifles or shotguns.
Exactly. Yes. So would that be something that you would be willing to part with? If they said we don't want pistols on the thing anymore, cops carry pistols or whatever, but we want all handguns out. You got to keep your semi-autos. You got to keep bolt actions and levers, whatever, shotguns. He's having a hard time.
I know.
He's really trying to think. I wish we had a camera on you.
But this is a great because Xavier. I mean, you being this hard in your beliefs. This is exactly what I want because again, trying to meet this common ground of what we can do.
Yeah, I mean,
But I see, and I hear you. Like and again, for the purposes of this, I'm being more devil's advocate against guns on purpose.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I know. Yeah, and it's as
far as
no. I'm mentally thinking like, I mean, I don't really use my pistols that much.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, you could justify it at some point, especially if you were getting paid.
Yeah, I would definitely get rid of things that I don't use. And if I could use the cash, the shield would be gone. Yeah. I'm sorry. I think it's a monster. Not in a good way. But like, I if the option was there and I was in need of some monetary help and that came across and I was able to sell one of them back to them, I would give that up. But I mean, I wouldn't. Again, I mean, if they're talking about doing that and it's not coming out of my tax dollars, if it's coming out of like the rich tax dollars, that's fine.
That's the best.
Yeah, that's their money, not mine. I didn't, I just the idea because it's the idea of like the audacity of the government, like you pay all this money, you pay taxes on it on the item, and then they're gonna come back and say, hey, we're gonna buy it back from you.
Yeah.
But for less money, and it's your tax dollars that we're using. Like, get fucked. Like kick rocks.
Agreed.
I would. That is like the most insane thing. Well, it's not the most insane thing, but it's just ridiculous. If there was a better way around it, then that's different. But I'm all for people trying things. It's not like nobody's trying. People are trying to do things, trying to make things better, trying to help. Balance, but there's just some things that I don't see is ethical to do, like buying a firearm back from the person who paid X amount of money for less. But if it in the scenario it's like more, then that might be okay for that individual.
Mm-hmm. So moving on from this just a little bit because we do have to wrap up.
Yeah.
Background checks. Waiting periods.
Background checks.
Yes or no?
Background checks, yes.
Waiting periods, yes or no?
No.
I
can see a waiting period for the first time. After that, why? If I was going to do something bad, I would have done it already.
I don't agree with that one because domestic violence.
I mean that.
You don't agree with you don't want a waiting period.
I do want a waiting period.
What if domestic violence?
Hold on.
What if it's a woman who's being abused by their husband and they need a gun now to defend themselves? I got to wait 10 days. That actually happened in New Jersey. A woman was being hounded by her ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
And she applied for a gun. She had to wait because they have a waiting period.
Yeah.
He killed her in that time period. She was waiting to get her firearm.
I'm not going to say anything against that, but I do think that there are things that far more outweigh, again, some of these outlier scenarios. I don't know the woman's position. I would hope that if she was able to get somewhere safe, she could have done that. If there were more social safety nets for things like that happening. But again, she was in a relationship with a domestic abuser who had a firearm. That was what killed her, not her lack of having a firearm.
She could have defended herself, though. That's what I mean. That's
the option to do that.
Yeah, she could have had the option to do it.
My thoughts on this is I'm also no background or not do backgrounds. I'm also no waiting period. I think if you're pushed to the point, besides the first time, I don't think that if you are to the point of where you want to carry out heinous acts, I do not think 10 days is going to stop you if you're already in that.
But it's been proven that it has. It's been proven that a waiting period has stopped gun violence.
Has it?
Yes, especially with suicide.
Oh, suicide.
I think that's probably, okay.
It's an encompassing thing when we're talking. It's all sorts of gun violence. And a waiting period does have benefits. It's a cool off period. If you're buying a gun in a moment's decision because you are angry and you are looking to solve a problem with that tool and you have access to that tool that day, you're going to use it and you're going to harm people. And if you have to wait 10, 15 days or whatever, you're probably going to let it blow over or try and do something more severe. And I don't think
try it.
I think if that man didn't have access to a gun, it would have been a knife. It would have been.
He was going to kill her no matter what.
He was going
I don't
to
remember
do it.
what he killed her with, but he did kill her.
So what I'm saying is, I want that to be lessened. I want there to be some sort of like yeah.
I'm just going to say you're saying lesson, but like if I'm an abuser and that's already my mindset, if I have to wait 10 days for a gun, I'm still going to kill you.
I suppose so, but there's also the addition of the background check to begin with too.
Yeah, but he already had a gun. Or whatever I'm assuming it's a gun or whatever,
yeah.
But you're going to find means to kill somebody.
Yeah.
I'm saying if you are in that mindset, I'm saying from that sense, if there's no sense of urgency, if there's no sense of anything, if you're already a predator in that way, a cool off period doesn't help you in that way if that's how your mentality is. But in terms of suicide and stuff, I believe you.
Because if like I think that the pros of it far outweigh the what if. What if this person doesn't have access to a gun for 10 days and they don't cool off and they do buy a gun? I would rather them wait the 10 days.
That makes sense.
I would rather that person they were going to kill be alive for 10 more days. Because if they have that amount of cognizant thought, then it's premeditated to begin with.
Yeah.
This person was going to commit that act of violence regardless of whether or not they had the firearm.
It's kind of an impossible question, but do you feel like you think proportionately more people are in the mindset of the ability to commit? You think that the proximity of time is the main factor, not the level of anger with somebody? You feel it's the ability to get it within that 10 days is the biggest problem versus...
Can you elaborate? I'm not quite following.
I'm saying, let me try to... So you're saying the level that you get to upset enough to where you want to murder somebody, you're saying that more often than not, you think that 10 days is going to be enough for you to not feel that level of anger anymore.
I'm not.
Or you want the option for it to cool down.
I'm not only saying that, I'm making the stance that everything that I have read has proven what I'm saying. And I'm making that objectively. Now, again, if you at home or you guys want to do research and bring this up for another show, let's fucking do it. Because I am okay with being wrong, but without looking it up, that's where I stand.
You just want to be selfish and have them immediately.
Yeah. But I think this will conclude our discussion for today's firearms. I mean, what a crazy discussion.
Hey, it was a good discussion.
Yeah.
You really showed your true colors, Xavier.
Did I?
Red, white, and blue, baby.
These colors don't run, bitch. All is well. Not with my money.
Yeah, not my money. So it concludes the end of the show. Thank you all for listening.
Yeah, we
was a long
solved
one.
guns.
We did solve it.
Wow.
Dude, send this off to DC, boys.
Wow.
We did it.
Yeah.
This is
AOC, this podcast is headed to your desk.
This is Guy Partisan.
Corey, where can the folks at home find you?
Oh, after
Gun
this,
Lover
I don't
69.
want them to. Cale, where are they going to find? No, if you want to message me about the show, my comments, or my co-hosts, feel free to message me on Instagram at Corey.Andre, Corey.Ondrey. We also have an Instagram for our channel at The Weekly Tall Talk. Check it out. We got some goofs, gaps, and japes, and a little bit of behind the scenes stuff that I really love and appreciate. So thank you very much. And Cale, how are we going to find you, bud?
You can find me on Instagram at TallTaleCale with an underscore in between each word and a C instead of a K for Cale. We also have a communal TikTok at The Weekly Tall Talk. Been pretty good about updating that one recently. Yeah. And we're looking to put in more stuff just like Instagram, but maybe a little bit different, a little exclusive stuff. So follow us there. We also have a YouTube channel at The Weekly Tall Talk, where you can find all these podcasts. We're looking into doing live shows and some other stuff. We're also going to be having Tall Tale Gaming.
Ooh, check it out.
Yeah.
It's coming on YouTube, baby.
It's coming out. We are doing Let's Plays. We are the best.
Yeah, we're the best gamers in the world.
Flawless execution nonstop and perfect commentary.
Self-proclaimed.
Yeah.
Self-proclaimed.
We felt we did too good at podcasts. We're going into a different media entirely.
Right. Yeah.
Once you dominate and figure out the perfect formula, you just have to move to the next thing.
Well, yeah. Alexander cried for there was nothing left to conquer.
See?
That's us. That's it right there.
You are Colin Farrell. Anyway, you can follow us there. Be sure to follow us on all of those and stay updated. Hey, Xavier. Gunmaster 690420.
Dude.
Vengeful gun spirit.
I would. That's cool.
High capacity round mags at gmail.com.
Yeah. We do have a Gmail account, which we already I think we mentioned, right? But you feel free to email us if you guys. We'd love to hear your responses and answers to today's questions. Give us those questions. Give us those answers at our Gmail account. That is talltailnetwork@gmail.com. And we also have a Patreon.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/Talltail Network. Check out our behind the scenes contents, bloopers, funny photos, pictures, and shout out to
Eric.
Shout out to Eric. And
hey, Eric.
Gus, you too, bud.
Yeah.
I hope you're doing well, man.
Gustafer.
I love that.
But yeah,
we would love to hear any of your comments or critiques on this, because this is an open discussion. And I think that it's important to have it, especially today.
Absolutely.
Whether or not we agree on things, clearly we don't see eye to eye on everything here, but I'm more than happy that we were able to have this conversation and put it out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And with that, we'll tall tale you later.